Senior.
Oh, so we're live on YouTube.
We're live on YouTube.
Somebody's already liked this. I don't know how, because there's nobody watching.
Maybe, yeah.
That's
Mystery Ghost Man.
Live on TikTok.
Live on TikTok, first time on TikTok. I know there was some guys.
Popping the cherry.
Jeremy wasn't going to make it. Probably a few guys out doing cabin things.
Yeah, that's fair. It is.
So,
it is the season. It's a beautiful day for it. Hey?
It is a beautiful day.
15 degrees Celsius today.
It was
19 tomorrow.
Cooking.
Yeah.
Cooking today.
Yeah.
I had my, I still got my long johns on and the hoodie and the winter jacket and everything, right? Just boiling.
I had my vest on today, just a sweater and a vest. And that was too much.
Yeah.
It's just.
I could see that.
I was just leaking. Like,
it was a lot. I had a lot going on today too. I was just like, go, and then of course trudging through the mud like a lunatic. I should have invested in more gravel last summer.
You've got that same loon shit driveway kind of thing
Oh
going
yeah.
on.
Oh yeah. Well, like the whole entire
the
yard.
mud out of your yard.
It's just unbelievable. So I'm not like that. What you have to do over there on the TikTok is you got to swipe to the right.
Swipe right.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And
it's
then
TikTok, not Tinder, right? Like,
yeah, it's
swipe right.
All the way. Yeah, there you go. Now you'll be able. Then you'll be able to see a little bit.
Everybody.
Yeah, then you see everybody. So
fantastic.
Okay.
First time, long time creator. First time
liver.
First
time liver. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are.
What happens?
We tried a TikTok once before on our own channel, and it was kind of. It was okay. It was kind of chaotic though.
Kitty Wampus.
Tonight's going to be pretty much the same, I think, but it is set up over there anyways. So if you see Stan and myself going that way,
we're on camera too.
It's because there's something over there.
Yeah.
And if you're over on TikTok and you're not liking the view from the right, hop over to YouTube. Look straight on. It's a better.
You know what the pros do? They've got like a switching thing, right? Like there's just like a switching.
Sure.
I don't even know what they call it, but they got like 3 cameras.
The switchboard.
Basically, right?
Okay.
You just switch between. I don't think that's what it's called.
Sure.
They just switch between cameras the whole time.
Someday.
We'll get there.
Someday.
A few more bottles, a few more cigars.
Absolutely.
And we'll be on here. So Taylor's on.
Oh, Taylor's on. Taylor won the last.
Right?
Yeah. So
winner.
He actually tried to message me, and I knew it was either him or Leo. Leo's his brother, and I didn't. But when I ran over my phone, not everything come over. Yeah. So I just. But anyways, because Leo also won, and neither one of them have gotten anything. So, what do you want, Taylor? They're gone now. Stan walked off with the cups, but they were here.
Yeah. My kids are drinking out of whiskey cups. Eh?
And what are we? I was going to read this real quick because I think it's interesting.
The Glen Grant.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a 15-year?
It is.
It's a 15-year. Oh.
Victorian classic in Scotland. Glen Grant was a lone single malt in many a bar from Glasgow to Genoa, I guess.
Genoa.
It's
Switzerland? Is that where that is?
It's possible. I would have assumed it was going to be in Ireland, but Scotland, I mean, not Ireland.
Who knows?
What do we got
whiskey
here?
Talk, not
Whiskey Talk. Distillery founded in 1840 by John and James Grant. Quickly gained reputation for quality of its whiskeys.
Smugglers, eh? Those two.
Smugglers, are they?
Yeah. They were.
Okay.
Yeah, they went legit.
Sure.
Above board, if you will.
The one thing that we find interesting about our whiskey book is most of the ones we can get here in Canada aren't in the book. So I guess we can pretend this is a 10-year, although this is a 15-year-old.
Yeah, it's a 15. I guess, yeah, you like your... Yeah, no, that's not true.
You know,
I was going to say you like your women like you like your whiskey, but it's 15 years old.
I'm not going to even pretend because I'm just going to read off the box because that's not going to make sense to pretend when we can...
Just go right to the source.
So we got spiced pears, toffee, apricot, marmalade, your favorite.
Fucking love marmalade.
The notes will unfold and intrigue with every sip.
Oh.
So this is a 50 by ABV. So she's a torquey one.
So it's got some step to it, yeah.
It's going to be... I was wondering, I did not see the cask yet, but... I have a feeling light.
Yeah.
Can be light colored.
What did we have last time? Deanston. That was a 52 ABV, hey? That was take your breath away strong.
The golden liquid offers aromas of citrus fruit, toffee, accompanied by a rich palette of spiced pear, apricot, and vanilla, leaving a nutty finish with delicate notes of fruit.
Wonderful.
And in fact, it is
very pale. Look at that.
very, very pale. This is
It's hardly a rich mahogany. Well, more like a, what would you call that? Scotch pine kind of color. If you're on the TikTok, does that make me sound old? If you're on the TikTok,
that's the right way.
That's how it's
proper.
done. If you're on the TikTok, let us know in the comments where you're actually watching from. That would be cool just to see where everybody's at.
This is also a Highlands whiskey, so that's one thing I didn't look either until just right now. Is where is the region it came from? It's also the only one of the Glen Grant whiskeys that we have. We have lots of whiskeys.
I think it is the only Glen Grant whiskey that we have. We have Glen Moray, Glenfiddich, Glendronach, Glen from Public Works,
Glenlivet,
yeah,
Glenmorangie.
Yeah, there's a lot of Glens in Scotland. So.
Just Glen. But kind of an unappealing bottle. It's not really fancy. We've had fancier. And the box too is not
fairly simple.
I like the Dalmore though. Once you've opened a Dalmore box and then look at the bottle.
That is a favorite for sure.
You're not.
They set the bar pretty high.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
So that's that.
All right. So, fruity spice.
That's what we're gonna have.
Okay.
Fruity spice. Very unimpressive bottle.
You're probably wondering where the glasses are. Right?
I am
perplexed. Perhaps.
I don't know if we're just gonna go shot for shot out of this.
We're just gonna right out of the bottle. No. So, my wife had me on the buy and sell a few weeks back and said, you know what? There's this people that they're selling the farm and they have this furniture and we need to go get this desk and I'm going to refinish this desk. And I know refinish this desk means that it's going to sit on my shop floor for about 6 months before she tells me to move it to the sea can before it just never moves ever again. And
Absolutely.
Like, so we have an old dining room table that we've previously sat at forever and a day. Couple years now, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was like, man, a lawyer's desk would be pretty cool to just have up here in the study. So, top drawer.
Oh, look at that!
I am
fancy.
And
that's where you hid the cups.
Cups, yeah. So I didn't actually just sell them on eBay or whatever.
Just walk off with them.
Yeah, they're still here.
So that is the graph. The TikTok folks can't see it, but they're gonna have to jump onto their cups. Their cups.
Win a smoking oak cup.
You sure can. If you're watching on YouTube, all you got to do is participate in the chat, and then at the end of the live, not immediately following, but at some point after we're done the live,
within 14 to 21 days after the live, we come back.
Yeah, we
see who was there.
We'll enter your names onto a wheel and give it a spin, see who wins. We've had something like 26 winners.
Something like that, yeah.
Shipped out something like 14 cups.
It's been a popular thing. Yeah, not everybody just says, hey, here's my address. But
right, yeah, that's it. So then you can reach out to us, smokingOakProductions@gmail.com.
You betcha.
Send us your address and we will shoot it off to you. Just
like the Jetsons, moving on up.
Okay, yeah, you betcha. So anyways, yeah, actually Taylor was our last winner, so he's going to have to pick between a whiskey glass or a coffee mug. The coffee mugs are pretty sweet, but so are the whiskey glasses.
You can drink tea out of the coffee mug too if you really wanted to.
Or whiskey.
Or chocolate milk out of whatever you want.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
We
don't discriminate.
You're more than welcome to put whatever beverage in whatever cup, for sure.
Kool-Aid.
Nobody's going to find you if you aren't doing it right.
No.
So, yeah, that's. I think this is going to need water. The more that I look at it,
well, shall we find out?
It's going to need water. We sure can. I got lost the old fingernails the other day.
Need a cutting device.
digging like a rodent
Is it gonna squeak?
into. If I can get it open, riding the struggle bus pretty hard right here. Oh, you even got like garbage and
Driving
everything.
the street. Yeah, I brought a garbage can down.
This is totally
So well, don't trip on the
top shelf.
Ethernet cable. I run internet directly in here. I moved the Starlink today.
Okay.
It's sitting right up. It's got a 98% view of the sky. Because before it was 84%, and I'm pretty sure the other 16% was just like looking directly at my wall, like the wall of the shop, the steel wall. It's not seeing fuck all, right?
Not too bad.
Gentle squeak, eh?
Oof. Smells like a clear whiskey. You can get apples out of that. I can get apples out of that.
Just ever so gently, hey?
They all
like a green apple early in the season, maybe.
Absolutely. Freshly bitten into. But they all smell like that. These really pale amber ones. They all smell like that. Well,
it has kind of a burnt smell to it too, as well. I think. Hey, like you can definitely smell it's not peat, but it's the char off the barrel.
it's hot too. Whew.
Stings the nostrils.
Stings the nostrils. May I?
Please.
Oh, it's a glugger.
It's a glugger.
That's how you know it's good.
Thanks, sir. I don't know how we got flipped here. We didn't switch chairs.
That happened to us once before.
It did happen once before, yeah.
Oh, it's just popping off.
Yeah, I'm not getting a lot, actually. I'm just getting kind of a perfumey, sweet smell.
But it dominates the airspace. Like, you know that it's coming out of that cup.
Nutty, perhaps, but
perfume was right. It's perfumey.
Yeah, it's
whatever makes that.
It's Sex Panther. 60% of the time.
Someday, I just know some real high class Scotch aficionado or cigar aficionado is going to just by chance happen upon this, and he's going to hear us describing scotches and cigars, and they're going to be like, we need to reach out to those guys.
There's a fella called that one dude Ryan. He's on TikTok,
mm-hmm.
and I think he would get a kick out of some of our descriptions. I think so.
I don't see, even though it's still now it's paint thinner or nail polish remover.
Yeah, there's not a ton of. Oh, there it is. Oh, yep. As I say, there's not a lot of body to it, but it's just like a little bit of an afterburn after it's already left your tongue.
I took.
There it is.
Oh, 2 chewable Peptos, and I'm glad I did because that burnt.
That is, in fact, what I forgot to do.
Oh,
this evening. So,
rookie.
If you see me clutching my chest,
oh man,
don't phone 911.
I'm pretty sure I don't like this.
Really? Well, I think it's nothing special.
But for 15 years, and at the price point, so there's the Grant. I think I didn't pay too much attention to it. I'm pretty sure it's just Grant. It's about $34 a bottle, and it's actually a really nice Scotch. Grants. It really is.
Yeah, Grants.
Grants. There's nothing wrong with it at all. This is like $100 bottle, and it's not worth it.
Just a drop.
Just a little nip of the noggin.
We'll see.
Let the alchemy work. Is that the right word? Alchemy? There it is.
Well, alchemy is where you're trying to turn base metals into gold.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not the right word then.
Not really.
You've let me say it like 8 different times.
I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but the people watching are like, that guy's just being a fool.
Chad says the picture is way better on the feed tonight. Thanks, Chad. I worked diligently at doing that tonight. I stood precariously on top of a 37-foot ladder to move the Starlink dish, and then after that, I plumbed directly into the Ethernet, hardwired it in, so it's just me and Elon touching dinks right now,
Nice.
as you do.
As you do.
Well,
that's much better with the water. Still disappointed in the alchemy comment that you let me say that so many times without correcting me. It's very rude.
Oh, you'll get over
Stan's a wordsmith. I am not.
it. I got to think about it for a second, though. You care for a cigar this evening?
I'm going to enjoy a cigar. Yeah. What are we having?
Well, I dug out the Monte Cristo number 2, an old favorite. I've been tending the humidity quite a bit here this last week because
You got her popping off there, right? It's 69, 70.
Yeah, it's at 71 today. So trying to keep it right around 70. But big temperature swing, that makes a huge difference, right?
We're going to have another one.
Yeah, we're going to get cold again. Right?
Unbelievable. And snow. Like there's
And snow.
15, 20 centimeters.
And I'm not even mad. Like I'm just like, give me a little bit of water, right? I'll take it however it comes, right? So
I'm looking at. So I guess full disclosure, I was cleaning oats today. So I was in a whole heap of dust.
So the schnoz is.
Well, I don't even know. I got like something going on in the nodes, and I got going on in the face.
Okay.
Because this doesn't smell like anything.
It doesn't smell like a grain truck.
You getting anything off of this?
Well, I will say I can smell it, but it's and we knew this from previous. It's very mild.
It's going to be terrible.
It's going to taste like shit. Monte Cristo number 2, in fact, shouldn't taste like shit at all. This was Cigar Aficionado's number 1 cigar of the year in 2013.
Is this the one we got the whole box of?
We did get a whole box of these.
Yep. Interesting.
Yep. So this actually scored 96, which is the highest ever at that time. I don't know if anything else has scored 96 since, but yeah. So
these are the ones that the box came straight from Cuba.
These are straight from Cuba. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I remember now.
Yeah.
You should have much better memory than me.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So what are you cutting?
I'm gonna go for a straight cut.
Well, I am too, but I'm
going
gonna use the cutter.
You're gonna use the old.
Yeah. I wonder if I could do the V cut. You can't really because it's got that.
Well, it's that pyramid shape. It's tough for a V cut without chewing the shit off of it, right?
Well, you know what's funny is that recess goes almost right there, like it was designed for it.
Yeah. You don't think you'll cut too much into the wrapper and come undone?
Well, it's gonna cut it all off. Let me look here.
We got a whole case of them, so if it doesn't work out,
just hammer off a whatever $80 cigar or whatever they are. You're right.
There's the effort paid off. That doesn't even sound gay at all between you and Elon. Yeah, no, it's not. It's science. Anything for science.
Just nip the tip there a little bit.
Just the tip. Just perfect. The tip. Some comments in the live were filtered to protect the community's experience. Wow. I like how that guy thinks. Not sure what that means, but somebody probably dropped an F-bomb. We're going to need this lighter. So
I think I cut too much anyways.
You did, eh? Oh, yeah, you really took the shoulder there.
But I'm still like...
It's not coming unfurled.
No. Look, they got all that to go.
All right. Little toast.
Oh, man.
So for the folks that haven't watched before, maybe they're tuning in from TikTok, when you toast the foot of the cigar, you want to keep the tip of the flame a couple inches away. You don't actually want to have direct flame on the cigar. Use this one.
I got her.
You got her?
I got her.
Mighty fine. Long overdue.
Man, does that smell good?
I thought you couldn't smell anything there.
Well, I can smell that.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm.
Didn't you say something last time we were supposed to take these out the day before?
I took them out this morning, but yeah. So if you're on the higher side for humidity, you may want to take it out a day before, just to dry it up a little bit, right? So
You know, we joke lots about the cigars at a wedding or whatever that somebody that has shoved in a Ziploc bag and fired in their freezer from 2 years ago. And every time we have one of these out of a humidor, I really notice like a difference between like
the
a
draw is
properly
different. Yeah.
kept cigar. I mean, the wrapper's oily.
Yeah.
The cigar is oily.
You can
It
grab
burns
you can
properly.
squeeze it. Yeah, it doesn't channel all through it. There's a few cigar pages that I follow on social media, and I mean, there's all the way from beginners to what you could arguably say is experts on there, right? What I always find weird, or I don't know if weird is the right word, but concerning, is how many people will actually post a picture of a cigar that's like, it's fucking moldy, like it's moldy. And they're like, "Oh, is this plume? Is this plume? Like, do you think I could just wipe this off with a damp rag and then smoke it?" No, that's how you end up. That's how you end up in the hospital. That's where COVID-23 is coming, or COVID-24 is going to come from. Like,
It is very important, and I don't think either one of us, 2.5 years ago when we started this journey, understood that. But we did. We got a humidor right away.
yeah, that was
And
the first purchase. Hey, like,
because I did understand, right, that we were gonna, if we were gonna keep at this, it was gonna be important to have the proper tools for the job. And since we've evolved into having some other proper tools. But if you're gonna have a cigar at all, you should get yourself a humidor.
Yeah, Pelican case with Bovita packs works for traveling, because that's what we did right at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pelican case. But it gets you from A to B, but if you're going to try and keep them, like some of these have aged for a couple of years now, and we've got, I think, a stash of a couple hundred, probably thereabouts.
Well, you had to break out the other one, and fill it.
Yeah, because this was 125 capacity, right?
Yeah, 125, 150. I can't remember.
And so they're both full, with arguably maybe space for about 15 about 15 cigars.
Wow.
Yeah. How's your draw?
It's excellent. I cut quite a bit more than you though, but I noticed it's burning only on one side. So
I may have sold myself short on the cut. My draw is tightened up quite considerably.
Well,
so
I took another eighth of an inch.
I'm just going to take
more than you did.
Just a touch more.
Oh.
I don't feel like fishing around in there with the old draw tool too much.
And what's it been? 2-3 weeks? Like 4 weeks since the last one, or what?
Been too long.
Been looking forward to it, as I have been burning it at both ends.
We well, I would have liked to have done it earlier, but we had a rash of birthdays, like Charlotte, and then Finley, and then Carmen, like boom, 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 all within that 3-week stretch, right? So
no, fair enough. And it's been beautiful too. Like that threw our whole live stream season like just right out the window.
For sure.
How it was, we basically didn't have winter. We had 3 weeks of winter.
Pretty much, yeah.
And the rest has been not even spring. It was like summer. It was like a cool day in the summer most days.
You get lots of tobacco grindings almost.
I guess you should have followed my lead right off the start.
I should have, yeah.
You might have to dip her in the old whiskey.
Might, but I've already put a drop of water in there, so I think I would spoil it if I did that, but that's okay.
And you had thrown a poll up, and the folks had voted.
The folks, the people spoke. They wanted to discuss how to increase self-sufficiency without increasing cost. Well, that's very, Very interesting stuff.
That is right up my alley. I am quite a cheapskate.
Are you really?
Oh yeah. Well, you know that.
I mean,
Look at you. This is truly the best piece of furniture for this.
Like I can.
This is absolutely amazing.
I can have my cigar right here.
And you figure this was a fancy lawyer's desk. How many lives were ruined right on this?
This is probably a few divorces were signed here.
Just hammered down.
Probably a few wills were read. I don't know what else lawyers do. Take people's money.
Go to fancy dinners.
We might as well smoke cigars from behind it now.
It's better. It's better. The table was fine, but the
table was okay, but this is like
when I go back and I look at the when I go back to find the names from the lives and I'm watching a little bit as I'm going through the thing. I always find that I'm so far off, and then you can't really hear me either. I'm all like way over here with the legs cut off my chair.
Yeah,
so it's not fair.
But you're even Stevens now, right? Like
I can see that. Yeah, it's like the same height.
There was as much work went into repositioning the satellite dish as there was to make sure that camera was fucking level, so that I couldn't be falsely accused of cutting the legs off somebody's chair. So
wasn't falsely accused. It was there was grounds for that.
Your chair was definitely missing some padding, but yeah.
So you got notes even?
I jotted some things down because I thought, it's easy to talk about increasing self-sufficiency. Really easy. Oh yeah, you could do this and this and this and this, but you could do that until you fucking end up divorced and broke and
sure.
You see how many people try,
right?
And maybe they kind of miss the target on the right things, and yeah, the dream goes down the toilet essentially, right? So the focus here is really on, well, how can you still, start homesteading or start, even if you're doing it in town, even if you're on a large commercial farm, but you're still running to Costco every week kind of thing, that happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can you start to draw that back in so that you can be more self-sufficient without blowing your brains out financially? Because everything costs money, right? Like you can't just start canning one day and, that's just for free. It doesn't happen. Like if you've ever been to PB Mart and tried to buy a flat of them jars, you'll know, holy fuck, right? Like
I agree 100%.
So I jotted down some things and I thought, here's where we go. So the first one I thought was, and this is the easiest thing to do, because you always see people complain about the price of groceries, and they also complain about the price of gas, because they're putting gas in their lawnmower, right? If you're putting gas in your lawnmower, you probably should quit complaining a little bit, at least, about the price of groceries, because you probably have if you're in a municipal lot, at least 50 feet wide by 30 feet deep opportunity to grow food.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably missed, right? So how hard is it to, put in some raised garden beds? They don't even have to be raised. You can grow right on the ground. Get rid of the grass, put in some cardboard, put in some compost, and grow some vegetables right then and there. Right?
Yeah, that's true. Someone asked me the other day when they were at the farm. They said, "Do you think you save any money by having your own garden?" And I said, "Well, I mean, obviously, and even if we didn't, garden serves another purpose anyways, right? So it's taking up a little bit of real estate, also gives everybody something to do when they're walking by, be it weed it or eat from the bounty of it."
There's a lot of people that believe that gardening is the number one hobby in the world. Actually,
sure,
it is, right? But there's a lot of people that find that it has that mental reprieve. Like it allows you to come in, take your mind off all the other troubles of the world, come in, focus on some stuff. Whether it's pulling weeds or whatever it is, you can immediately see the rewards of your work. You have a nibble on something. It's healthy. There's probably nothing Monsanto based in there, right? And I think it's an excellent thing to do. And I did some math not that long ago. It was a couple of years ago now on how much garden space you actually needed to feed a family of 4, and it was shockingly smaller than what I thought. So 200 square feet is all you need to produce the vegetables for a family of 4 for the year. So 10 by 20. That's a pretty small garden plot, and you can grow your potatoes, your any root vegetables primarily is going to be your footprint there, but then also salad greens and a couple squash.
And the stuff is quite easy to grow. Also, you got like that's what I find. So we try to grow a lot of like Corey. She grows peppers and okra and all these things that aren't certainly not native to northern Alberta, right?
Yeah.
And they're very difficult. That's why we built the greenhouse and things like that. So, but if you're going to just go to your to your 5, right? You're going to grow cucumbers. You're going to grow potatoes. You're going to grow some lettuce, some carrots, and some beans.
Yeah.
It's very easy to grow, and it's very plentiful. There's a lot there. You grow 3 or 4 rows of potatoes, 20-foot row. That's all winter.
Yeah.
Like you have potatoes for a year. You're giving potatoes away.
There's people that do it in like Rubbermaid totes or old whiskey barrels or raised beds. You don't always have to break your back trying to plow up the soil, essentially, right?
I don't know who that
Power
is.
82. I'm not sure who that is, but
welcome, Mister.
Good evening.
Or
yeah,
Miss or whatever. I can't read that, but
it's really small print. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. It is a bit further away.
It's on Stan's side.
We did do a little bit of a reconfiguration there this evening with all of the audio video equipment. So, but yeah, the other thing I thought, okay, well, so growing a garden, that's great. You grow all these vegetables. End of August, beginning of September, maybe you're getting into October, depending on what zone you're coming into. Now you go to harvesting, and you've got, like you mentioned, like just a bounty. And what do you do with that, right? Because if you were just to take those potatoes and just put them on the kitchen counter, how long are they going to last for? Probably less than 10 to 14 days, kind of thing, right? So you've really got to learn how to start preserving that food. Right, so there's a lot of stuff that comes through the grocery store chains that is dipped in wax or dipped in some type of process or kept a certain way or stored in a specific type of packaging to extend its life. Now, if you're generally working on self-sufficiency, some of that stuff won't be available to you and probably maybe isn't even that good for you, right? So learn how to start canning, right? Learn how to make marmalade. I think marmalade is fucking terrible, but it's a good example, right?
I'm not even sure if I've ever had it.
You should try it.
It was always on the counter in camp, and I don't know why, but I don't know if I've ever had it.
You know what you said about this whiskey?
Yeah.
We were like, I don't know if I really like this or not. I think that would be the reaction for marmalade.
Okay.
Marmalade is fucking awful. Like have you ever just bit into an orange without peeling it? You tasted orange peel? That's what marmalade
I'm not
tastes
insane.
like. Marmalade just tastes like orange peel. It's like all of the vitamins and minerals and nutrients, but none of the good flavor. It's just bitter and horrible. But my dad would put it on toast religiously. That was his go-to. And I think it was just like a holdover from like the wartime era where you basically had nothing else, right? You
Sure.
just had orange peels, and they just made marmalade with it. And so that just became a staple in the UK. And so now, once a year, I'll buy a jar of marmalade and choke it down just for childhood nostalgia's sake, just to remind myself how fucking awful it is. But for some weird reason, psychologically, it actually kind of makes me happy to have it.
Fair enough.
But
I'm not into that. Not into that. Life's too short.
you don't like
Enjoying.
you don't like making yourself miserable to make yourself happy?
Not really. A lot of what I do for a living is pretty much miserable, so I don't need to add more. Like it's just,
I suppose.
Generally, it's an uncomfortable feeling all day long, so I don't need to do that on the plate when I get in.
Well, does anybody at home have one of those those weird things from their childhood that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to anybody else, but they still do just to make them feel young again?
Throw it out there.
Yeah, just to relive the glory days of their youth.
TikTok's pretty quiet over there. Lots of joins, but no
TikTok's quiet.
no
We almost
comments.
got banned because we're smoking cigars and drinking whiskey, so we got age restricted.
Is that true? I thought it was because you were dropping F-bombs.
That's what popped up. Well,
Okay.
I'm sure it's because I mean, this isn't apple juice, but
I'm having apple juice and smoking tree bark.
Yeah.
So with those two things though, I find this quite a bit because with what I do for a living, we generally meet brand new homesteaders as soon as they get moved out. Because first thing they need to do is get an animal, and then the first thing they need to do is buy feed for the animal.
Right.
So we have these conversations with a lot of people, and they're asking, well, where'd you do this? How'd you do that? How'd you do this? And it's funny what their ideas are for a 1-year plan. And I do find a lot of people they haven't put enough thought into it to realize how much work that there is and how a certain type of homesteader or farmer enjoys it, so they don't classify it as work. Right? So you're weeding your garden, or
Sure.
even you're canning your vegetables. So if you have your haul from the garden and you bring it in, and the kids are involved, and you're sorting potatoes and you're washing potatoes, carrots, and all your vegetables, and you're getting them dried out, and then you're getting the canning going and the brines going and the jars going. A lot of people, we really enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's a form of entertainment for us. I don't need to go to the bowling alley. I don't need to go to the golf course. I don't need to go to the bar. I don't need to go to the movies. That's my form of entertainment.
It gives
so
you
many
a
people
sense of accomplishment and self-worth, right?
Absolutely. So many people, they hop into this and then they plant the garden, and it's fun planting it. They got their fresh load of topsoil delivered. And then they're off to the lake, and they're off to the town every weekend, and pretty soon the garden's overrun, and then they're too far. It's too far gone, and then they're going grocery shopping anyways. And I find a real definite parallel between what happens on that side of things, lined up with those what's the word? Those Grant Cardone guys, those types who are really
finance bros.
Yeah, really pushing that out there. There's a lot more to this. Like there's
the lifestyle influencers or whatever.
You can make it look really, really good and sound really, really good, but if you don't enjoy the work,
if you can just buy 10 houses by the time you're 30 and have them out as rental properties, you can make $1 million a year, no problem. And the other thing they say, I fucking laughed about this, right? It's easier to make $1 million than it is to make $100,000.
I've seen that.
Like, what? What?
Well, so yeah, what I was getting to with that is there's a lot of stuff that looks really, really good, but if you don't, like, of course that's insane, I guess. But if you're not willing to do the work and you don't find the work somewhat entertaining, then it's not going to work out for you. Because what happens in a lot of these cases, and I've seen it with several people, is, well, we can't do any of this because we don't have a skid steer. And I'm thinking, like, okay, well,
right, yeah.
I say, well, where can we get a cheap skid steer? And I said, like, nowhere. Like 30,000 minimum.
30 grand, and you're still buying parts.
So, yeah, and then of course nobody knows how to fix, so that's not going to work. So then right away the financing starts, and and like you say, instead of taking some of this lawn out of grass and making it into a paddock for some animals or a garden, they go buy a $15,000 lawnmower. Now, lots of people have $15,000 lawnmowers. There's nothing wrong with it. They also have paddocks for animals. They also have gardens. They also have, because you do have some lawn. Yeah. But these people that they just hop in there right away, and then once they've got this insurmountable pile of machinery and debt and infrastructure ahead of them, then they start to look at, well, where can we be efficient? Well, it's far too late.
I will say, if you're making payments on a $15,000 lawnmower and struggling anywhere else in your life financially, you probably have your priorities wrong.
Well, for sure.
Like one of the biggest things you have to realize getting into, I guess, if we're going down the window of like the acreage, the homestead, the small hobby farmer kind of that niche crowd, if you don't realize getting into it that if you don't do a lot of stuff yourself, if you can't fix a lot of stuff yourself, if you can't make do with what you have, it's going to be very, very expensive.
Holy moly!
Right?
Unbelievable.
And I will say, if, not only the $15,000 lawnmower, but just maybe even if you're making car payments, that may be too much, right? That may set you over the edge, right? Because you get a goat because you want to milk a goat, but then that goat is a herd animal, and so it needs a friend, right? And then suddenly you've got 5 goats, and then you got 15 chickens, and then you got a llama, and then before you know it, you're blowing your brains out on feed because you need therapy. They're basically the therapy animals for a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the quietness that should have brought you is now bringing you an insurmountable amount of anxiety, right? So you really need to probably find somebody that has some of that stuff with you. There's a fella here who says farm animals cause climate change. So earlier today I had that comment too. What do you think about that?
I'm just not. I can't get on that page. I can't.
You can't. Eh?
I cannot get on that. There's just no way. I do think whoever this individual is, I can't see your name over there.
Well, this is a joke because it's obvious. He's obviously seen the TikTok that I put out earlier today.
Oh, okay.
But do farm animals contribute to climate change? Farm animals do contribute to carbon emissions. That is a known fact. The ask that came from the internet today was that I should kill all of my livestock because they're ruining the planet, essentially,
sure.
Right? And what I do for a living is I understand and I evaluate root cause, right? So, okay, sure, cows, pigs, sheep, all that may contribute to climate change, but why? Well, because by volume alone, for human consumption, there are so many. So why would I kill the cows, right? Like it's kind of a necessary evil, right?
Sure.
I think it's ludicrous to think that, well, you should just get rid of all the cows. Like, I don't know if we know what people need to consume to be healthy, but last time I checked, it was a significant amount of protein. If you're trying to get that protein from plant-based sources, there's going to be a hell of a lot more deforestation that has to occur in order to get there.
And yes,
and last time I checked, deforestation was the last thing you wanted to do if you were trying to capture carbon and offset any carbon emissions that you're making.
Yes, and that's the why I just can't get there. So I do entertain the ideas from both sides, but being involved in commercial agriculture, being involved now in livestock feed production in several ways, so we've learned a lot, and I talked to a lot of experts. They're undeniable industry experts. There's a tremendous amount of land across the globe, but certainly here in North America, that is good for nothing else. So you can get
it's
carbon,
good grazing land. Yeah, that's it.
Sequestration into the ground by grazing cattle on land that you cannot farm.
Mm-hmm.
So that in itself is the largest offset to, do they cause climate change? As you said, we can agree that they contribute, but I think they are a net asset because of where they can range.
We definitely see a lot of we definitely see the agriculture industry in areas like the Peace Country kind of taken flack, especially around the subject of deforestation, right? But we have to remember is that this was actually all prairie land, and in North America there's a significant amount of prairie land that was grassland right from the get-go. What has happened has been a lot of elimination of native grasses, right? From things that would, I guess, better food sources for small ruminants. Those native grasses probably were better at carbon sequestration, right? But they can't sustain yeah, okay, they sustained 1 million buffalo or 2 million buffalo or whatever, but you're not going to do that with the amount of beef that are flowing through North America these days.
No, and see, the buffalo are also free ranged across the prairies where the cattle are kept in confinement effectively. What did Chad say? We also, good evening, Chad. When we had the shop and the sheep and the goats feedlot, it was amazing how many people bought a little herd, but wore out on it after 2 years, and were desperate to get back out of livestock. Unexpected costs, feed, fencing failures, all add up to those people. Plus the sweet.
Hey guys, sending me pictures of watches here right now.
Good evening, Damon. It's been a while since I've been able to get here. Yeah, it has been a while. Yeah, you're right, Chad. A friend of mine, he sold a few cows and I believe a bull to a young couple that moved in down the road from him. And then as it went on, they didn't have enough hay, so he sold them some hay. And then they didn't have any infrastructure, so he sold them some pens, some panels, and things like that. And they were telling him, they said, well, this is all getting kind of expensive. And he said the cheapest thing you bought was the livestock. Everything else is going to cost you a lot of money now. And you see that a lot with folks moving out to their first time. The cheapest thing you can buy is that 10 hens at the small animal sale. That is the cheapest thing you're going to buy. The chicken coop, the feeders, the heat, the feed, the water, the shavings, the grit. That's all. The cheapest thing you can buy is the animal.
That's a really interesting point when you bring up the chickens, because the chickens are the hub of self-sustenance. They really are. And I think that's where a lot of people think their heart's in the right place, but they go fucking sideways, just completely sideways. So they build there's a joke out there, right? Or a meme, like, let's build a $3,000 chicken coop so we can have eggs for free.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if you go on Facebook Marketplace, you can probably find a 10 by 12 shed. It's not in great condition, but it's good enough for chickens and it keeps the wind out.
Yep.
Probably for free. And if you've got a buddy with a truck and a trailer and you can maybe do a little bit of sketchy shit with some ratchet straps, you can get it home. And you know what? Go to the what do they call that? They got one in Grand Prairie for the restore for old surplus building materials.
Mm-hmm.
Go grab some of that, get some insulation, get some vapor barrier. You can be into a chicken coop for a couple $100 and have that thing mint and ready to go and put some chickens in there. Wood shavings, they did a whole experiment on this where do you need to buy wood shavings at $10 a bag? And you're chucking a bag at that every single week. That's eating your eggs for you, essentially, right? Go to the sawmill. Get some cuttings, not sawdust, but some cuttings. It's got some strands in it, so it actually has some substance.
We just recently got a shipment of wood shavings in, so
keep that
pump the brakes.
Keep that on the DL there.
Pump the brakes a little bit here.
Well, I know it's reasonable though, right? Like
the sawmill doesn't want you bothering them.
The sawmill doesn't want you. I'm hurting your business case here.
But what people would like to see you do is to go down to your local feed store and purchase yourself a tightly wrapped sack of shavings.
$10.
That's the proper way to do this.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's reset. You definitely want to use wood shavings, but don't use straw, don't use hay, don't use sawdust, because all of those things are terrible. Don't use paper shreddings. Absolutely horrible stuff. Contributes to ammonia. It may suck up the water, but it will hold the water and won't release the water, and it just makes a conglomerate, goopy, stinky, horrible mess. But
a paper mache of.
But it can get expensive.
Terrible.
So it's something that you need to figure out how much you're going to add, how often you're going to add it, keep it stirred up, keep it oxygenated. Because if you think you're going to set it and forget it, you're probably not going to go. It's not going to work very well for you. But yeah, chickens don't have to cost you as much money as I think a lot of people do. They look at a picture on Pinterest and think
that's where we go wrong,
right? Like you look at your chicken coop, your roosting bars are made out of what? You didn't go to the hardware store and buy an $8 2x4.
No, she pulled those out of the bush.
Right, it's a tree branch, right?
So,
I've actually gone out here. I've been gabbing away.
Well, and you're right. I mean, we have effectively the same chicken coop as you. We have a white one. Yours is blue. They've repurposed old wooden granaries.
Ours was we got ours from a Mennonite fellow that lives over on Range Road 105, 16 by 12 granary, and he said, "I want rid of this. Come and get it. It's for free." I said, "Like, it's structurally sound. It's on good skids. Like, why is it free? Like,
yep.
What am I missing here?" He said, "There's a fox living under it. I just want to get rid of it because this fox is living under it." So I went there with my tilt deck trailer and probably hauled an illegal load down the road. I didn't clip any power lines.
Could be no worse than my 24-foot bin bottom.
Got it home, skidded it off with the tractor, and within 2 weeks, that was the chicken village. It was fantastic.
And that's funny too. So, I mean, I'm sure this might even be another point that you have written down there is, the ability to be innovative and to repurpose things. So we've got some different, where we live geographically is a very young part of the country. And there's a lot of homesteads that are not yet fallen all the way down to the ground.
Completely derelict.
So there's a ton of repurposing and repairing and restoring and refurbishing that can be done. We've drug home several old wooden buildings. We've drug home some steel bins that were quite damaged, with the idea that we could take maybe the damaged pieces out and build 1 out of 3, or even turn those steel bins into some sort of an animal shelter. Of course, this all takes some sort of machinery for the most part. So generally it's not free, and it takes a tremendous amount of time and then a lot of willpower. And that's one thing where a lot of folks, I think that's the biggest thing that they lack, is when you, especially if they're not from an ag background already, which we saw throughout COVID and post COVID, a lot of people with no idea about this, moving out from the city,
right,
onto 10, 20, 40, 80 acres, whatever they can possibly find.
Watched the YouTube video, fell in love, and then jumped.
But they still have the clock on the head that is shut her down at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to be willing to go, like, to really start work after 6 o'clock. Right, that's when. And then you have to enjoy it, right? Because if you don't enjoy it, this is going to be a failure. And I think that's where you see most of these temporary homesteaders, right? Once they realize that the fence is always broken, that's pretty much enough.
Yeah, that's definitely something. I've had a lot of people ask me that, like, how do you work a full-time job and then go home and farm? And it's like, well, that is my joy. That is my quiet place. That is my den of tranquility, so to speak. Right, it's where I find my serenity. Because if it was a source of anxiety for me, well, we would just sell it and go back to town, and I'd find a better hobby. Because if it doesn't bring you joy, you really shouldn't do it. Really shouldn't, right? No matter how much you hate the government. So the other one I had in here was saving seeds. So if you go to PV Mart, Tractor Supply, Canadian Tire, Walmart, Ace Hardware, any one of these stores this time of year, you're going to buy an itty bitty little seed packet for $3.50, and you're going to get this much of a row planted. And will you get your return on your money? Well, it depends how much the weeds swallow, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're already going to the grocery store, like, believe it or not, you can save an apple core, cut the seeds out of it, put them in a wet paper towel in the fridge for 6 weeks, and they sprout. Transplant them in some soil and some compost or potting soil, and you will grow an apple tree. Like, it's incredibly easy to do, right? Same with peppers, cucumbers, tomatoes, all of that stuff that you're probably already buying from the grocery store, that you can harvest the seeds from, and if you preserve them well enough, regrow them the following year. And there was a video floating around at one point in time. It was only about 20 cycles, I think, where you start with one tomato. 20 cycles later, you can be growing 1 million tomatoes. Like, obviously, you need a large commercial greenhouse
Sure.
and everything to be able to do it. But don't say that it's too expensive to start.
Right? Yeah, that's what I was doing today, right? I was going to the oat bin and I grabbed myself a load of oats and I was running it through the cleaner.
Yeah.
Right? We don't buy our own. We don't buy seed
buy
every
porridge?
year. Well, we don't buy seed every year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you've done this once, right? Now, of course, with things like carrots, it's a little bit trickier, right? There's quite an art to getting the seed out of a carrot, but
yeah, carrots. If you're in a good enough climate and you can leave them in the ground, we don't have it here in the Peace Country. It's far too cold. But those warmer climates where they just leave the carrot in over the winter, and the following year, instead of the carrot getting bigger, it will just go to seed, and you just harvest the seeds off those second-year carrots, right? Same with onions, right? You plant your onions seeds, but you don't harvest those onions. They get you the sets. The next year you can plant the sets, and then you get your actual onions that grow off of that. So it does require a little bit of a multi-year investment with some of that stuff if you want to do it. But a trip to the grocery store to go buy some misshapen vegetables or maybe some stuff that's on sale because it's about to go bad. If you were specifically targeting harvesting the seeds, you could easily do that.
Sure.
For almost next to nothing, right? So
yeah, get yourself in one of them loop programs and get the seeds out of that.
Yeah, you totally could. Loop's a little harder where we're at. I mean, Dawson does it. There's some folks in Grand Prairie that do it, but Beaver Lodge and Hythe, maybe they do, but I'm certainly not breaking into that at all. So
yeah, I've never even looked. I've heard of the loop program quite a bit, and quite a few people involved in it. And what a great program.
Yeah, I always thought it was absolute sin, like how much waste there is from the grocery store. You just have that go to the landfill, right? Like
it's blood boiling.
There's and the stuff that goes out, like produce goes out, baked goods goes out, meat, like actual living things that people pour their heart and soul into, raising in the fucking garbage, right? So perfect. Keep your, perfect dog food, right? Why throw it in the garbage? But what did we miss for comments here?
I got most of these ones. I haven't been able to fire up the TikTok one.
And if he says you got a spare TV, yeah, you did fix a TV. Hey, that's pretty.
That was one of your points. You
pretty impressive.
Better learn how to fix stuff.
Be able to fix stuff, yeah.
And it's always funny because I know there's this whole thing where they. So certainly, I would say my generation and younger, my age group and younger, a lot of people say, "Well, you're always on your phone, right? What are you doing on your phone, playing games or whatever?" I made the joke with one old boy. He was a trucker his whole life, and at the Legion, because after I had ran over my phone, so I was washing dishes at the Legion. Right. He'd come back. He said, "Give me your phone," and he was making fun of me for running it over.
Sure.
And he said, I trucked my whole life. I never ran over a phone. And I jokingly said, "Yeah, but you weren't out chasing rare Pokemon either. So just relax, right? I mean, we need our phones with us." But my phone, I don't have any games on my phone. My phone is strictly a device for business. That's all it is. And so when I'm on it, it's usually something productive coming out of it, even as insignificant as fixing a TV. I would love one. And I was pretty shocked that worked.
I was impressed, I tell you that. But you're right, though. Like, I mean, what you have in your hand is, maybe it's $1,000 video game console, but also it's literally access to all of the information on the planet. Like, it is an electronic encyclopedia.
It is,
and it's up to you what you decide to do with it, right? So,
well, for sure, you need to reassess how you spend your spare time, because it's funny. So when the TV, what had happened is my son wanted to watch a hockey game. Yeah. So we were about 4 minutes into the hockey game, and it didn't even make a noise. It just turned off. And I was like, "Well, okay, that's finished."
It's like, oh, the Oilers, fucking them out.
That's not good. So, and then of course it started beeping a red light. Can't exactly remember how many beeps it did. So I Googled that.
Yeah.
Out of interest, because I bought that TV in 2011. The instruction manual is long gone.
Oh, it's gone.
We've moved twice since then. But
I'm surprised you could get parts for that even then.
well, that's the
Are they
funny.
common?
No,
No.
the fun. So I Google this. I took the back off right away because what I had originally thought was maybe just a fuse.
Yeah.
I didn't even know if a TV had fuses in the back. I had no idea. So anyways, I peel it off. I can check fuses. Know how to do that. Check what looked to be fuses. It all worked. So stamped on everything was some pretty some serial numbers that looked like they were going to match right up. So I Googled them and come up right away with $700, $800, which of course we're not paying that because we just paid $800 for a whole new TV. So as I Googled the numbers, then of course that's one great thing about it. Comes up with where you can get it, and then some YouTube videos on it, and so on and so forth. So as long as you're willing to jump down these rabbit holes and watch a video through,
yeah,
right. That's a pretty important part because you might, if it's 8 minutes long and you only watch the first 2 minutes, you might find out that at minute 4.5, there's another problem that it is insurmountable, right?
Yeah, you probably bit off more than you could chew. Right?
So
it is interesting though. Like I think if you're standing there with something broke in your hand, there's probably 6 guys on YouTube that have already fixed it.
Absolutely,
full instruction manual on how to do it. So yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't, right? So what else we missed there? Chad said when we had the sheep and goat feedlot, it was amazing how many people bought a little herd but were out on it after 2 years and were desperate to get back out of livestock from unexpected costs, feed, fencing, failures all added up on those people, plus the sweat equity. Yeah, that's something else. And then the guy said he fixed his dryer off a YouTube video. I don't know how many they have fixed the dryer, the washing machine, how many small appliances the guy is actually trying to fix. I've never done a TV. That was what I thought was really, because then you're into the circuit boards and stuff like it.
It was amazing.
That's pretty cool. But
I was over the moon when that thing turned on. That was a crowning moment in my life.
Yeah.
That was an achievement, I must say. But it was funny, some of the folks that commented on that YouTube video since then. The one guy was like, "You have no idea how lucky you are that worked." Like, and he's obviously a TV repairman,
right?
And he explained why. He said, like, most of the time when you buy those boards from those jobber places, they don't work right out of the box.
Oh, really?
So
just hot garbage.
And then I did check it from. So I learned how to check it from a YouTube video. So as soon as I opened it, I checked it before I went through the motions of putting it in.
Yeah.
And I guess it all worked. Now I don't understand how or why it worked, but it all worked as the YouTube video said it should.
Yeah.
So then I went ahead and put it in there. And yeah, when it but he said normally, like, there's something else wrong. That's why that board did fail. So when you put the new one in, it wipes it out right away, so on and so forth. And I hadn't planned to go any further because I found that board for about $100. I think it was like $108.
Right. So you spend any more, you probably.
Well, like I said, we bought a whole new TV for $800, and the new TV has whatever the new acronym is for technology.
The smart TV with OLEDs and.
Yeah, whatever. It was.
UHD 4K.
OLED. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what the thing was, OLED.
So you can see in colors that don't exist or whatever.
Yeah, I was reading the thing. It said it has over 1 billion colors, and I thought, 1 billion. 1 billion. It was a good thing Corey was there because the guy was going off on her, just yakking, and I was just like, this is incredible.
Like red, blue, yellow, green, purple. Fuck, what else is there?
Well, I remember when I was little, I would stare like really close to the TV and you could see the 3. And I can't exactly remember what colors they were again. But yeah, it was like, and they were just in lines. And I thought, wow, and now there's 1 billion.
Yeah.
Like that TV, I'm pretty sure was made up of those 3 colors and shades of them.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then now it's just like 1 billion. There's 1
It's
billion.
so vivid, TVs now.
He was explaining, he said, yeah, these ones there is actually 40,000 times the amount of little dots, pixels as the other TV. And they actually turn off so you get true black. And I was thinking, like, who gives who cares? Wow. But I guess if you're a gamer or you're watching a lot of CGI stuff.
I even find, though, like watching David Attenborough documentaries. Like, it's so vivid. It's probably more vivid than it is even actually being there, right?
It could be. I don't. I don't get that in. I don't get that into it.
No.
I like the TVs at the showroom. I find them very nice. And then once you hang it in your house, it kind of gets duller than that. But I don't. Even phones and things. I don't. But I don't do anything on it. Right, as long as I
Yeah.
can read the message, and I don't have a lot going on.
Yeah.
As far as that goes.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I don't watch a lot of TV. I work with some folks, and they're like, "Oh, did you watch this, or did you watch that, or have you seen this movie, or have you heard this song?" And I'm like, "I fucking live under a rock." I think, like,
Yeah. I'm not up on the pop culture myself.
No, I can tell you almost everything there is to know about chickens, and a thing or two about sheep, but I couldn't tell you who was in that movie in 1986.
No.
So,
Which is another. That's another going to be another point to cost to becoming more efficient without any cost is to just is to learn some things.
yeah,
Everything that you're going
Learn
to
a
do,
skill.
if you don't know anything about it, is going to cost you money.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to take some time and invest in yourself, the internet is free for the most part, I guess, right? You got your monthly bill, but the internet is free. The information on it, you can find a lot of it is free. So you can figure that out.
But yeah, there's folks that have, how many different streaming services, or maybe they have a cable bill or something, so they have all these channels that they don't watch or whatever. It's just fruitless information, and you really can just go on the internet and learn about anything. Like, you can learn how to fix a truck, you can learn how to fix a vacuum cleaner, you can learn how to grow tomatoes, you can learn how to raise rabbits.
Well, that's one of your highest videos, right? Is fixing your truck door.
Fixing my truck is like 28,000 views or something like that. That video pays me every day, and I never expected that to happen. But
You got good eyes, man.
I got good eyes.
Yeah, like you can read that from there.
It says, and don't be afraid to try something. It's already broken anyways. Well, that's a very good point. Like, it honestly is. Like, if it's already tapped out, if it's already his worst case scenario, it gets fucked. You're gonna buy a new one anyways.
That is my approach to life.
Why not take it apart?
I will take almost anything apart to see at least what's inside of it. I mean, it might never be going back together.
No, that's right.
But at least I'm gonna learn what's inside of it.
But at least you'll see. Look it up and be like, "Oh, fuck, witchcraft," I guess. But yeah, what else did I have on here? Well, I had a kind of a small point, but one thing my sister-in-law did, and this is not so much around self-sufficiency, but definitely reducing how much you rely upon supply chain networks, and probably doing a little bit for the environment at the same time, was getting rid of paper towel in your house and just going all cloth. And so she was a Norwex salesperson for a couple of years, and like anything else, you do that just to get the deal or whatever, so you can stock up and get your own stuff. But still to this day, if you make a mess, there's no paper towel to wipe it up. You get a cloth and you rinse it out, and then you hang it up to dry, and then the next time you use it again, right? So instead of just
Yeah, I'm pretty on board with that, right? I mean, there's a lot of we've come a long ways, and there's a lot of technology that has allowed us to, or it's given us the option to create less of a footprint.
Yeah.
And I really think that we should be doing it. I remember I'd seen a show one time, and this lady was just giving this guy the years for having a dishwasher. How bad it was, and you should just wash them in the sink.
Is that true though?
And well, he let her have her say her piece, and then he explained. He said, "Do you understand that my dishwasher uses like a tenth the water that is like that you're using to wash a sink full of dishes?"
Yeah, like, I don't know if you're a guy that washes dishes, or if you put them in the dishwasher, or is that something like, is that a pink or blue job in your house?
No, well, It's in if it's in everybody's thing.
job, because that's what it is in our house. But like if I have to wash a frying pan, like we have hot water on demand, but like that hot water has to heat up in the boiler and then come all the way across the house. So that water is just sitting there running until the water's warm. And then I'm running it the whole fucking time. I'm scrubbing that pot. Like to scrub that saucepan or a frying pan, like when you really think about it, I'm probably not doing anything good for the environment.
No.
Right? I mean, very wasteful. So, and I actually had that point down here about actually collecting rainwater. Probably not to wash your dishes, but certainly for watering livestock. We do it actually out back of the shop and off the barn, right? Collecting rainwater for watering livestock. You could water your garden with it. Hell, you could flush your toilet with it, depending on how your house is configured, right? So, yeah. And what else do they have here? What's your take on alternative energy sources? So not like maybe off grid, but I don't know. I don't think wind and solar.
I don't understand enough about them, and I have too many contradicting opinions from folks. So I was talking to a farmer once. I was hauling his grain, and he had these massive grain bins set up, and his son was an electrician, and he had solar panels mounted on all of them. And I thought, that's amazing.
Grain bins.
Yeah, it was so cool. Like south side of the bins, so they would get the sun the whole time available. And I asked him, I said, well, that's amazing. It was sometime in July. And he said, I got my August statement. I made 10 cents worth of power.
Ooh.
And I thought, how is that even possible? So, and then we didn't go into it. So I don't know if I don't know if it was like a, what do you call that? Where you're like a net zero, where you didn't add any, but you didn't take any from the grid either. So he considered that because that it's in itself would have been an $800 savings.
Sure.
So I didn't get into it, but that kind of stuck with me, and I thought, like, that's insane. We have solar lights that don't work 70-80% of the year. So that's kind of like put me off a little bit. I realize the shitty $26 solar light that you buy at Walmart isn't on the same level as a $20,000 solar panel setup with batteries and everything. Yeah. Batteries themselves piss me off. They're always fucking dead, and they never hold the same charge ever again as they did when they were new. So that's, to invest in, say, a $12,000 battery bank to have it be worthless in 2 years because it froze once. I'm not into that.
See, and that's where I'm at. Where we're positioned in the world, and with current battery technology, I really struggle with that because I know, like, the lithium batteries are basically just, fist fucking the environment, right? Like, it's bad for the environment. Like, if you think that you're offsetting anything, no, you're really just taking your footprint and you're just putting it somewhere else.
Sure.
Right. So I really don't. That doesn't sit well with me, right? With current technology, I think there's probably an opportunity to do some more development there, and maybe get it. But for places with extreme climates, it's going to be a big challenge. Like, it might work as a backup system or to subsidize the existing grid, but as a standalone, it's tough to think you can rely on that, right?
I can't read that.
This is last year. Just bought a manual and rebuilt a power shift in a 4850, and looked way more complicated than it was. Chad says solar has its place here for electric fencing. Been a real game changer, but I wouldn't run my house on it. Yeah, that's one thing. We early on when we first set up here, we were off grid for the first year by choice, and certainly not playing the long game on that, right? Like, there's a lot of security that just being tied to the grid that I probably wouldn't want to give up. There's a potential for 40, 50 below, right? So Justin's on. Saying, how's the night going? It's going well.
See, there's a difference, and I could have this wrong, but my always understanding with volts and amps, right? So when you're going to do a lot of these things like running a electric fence, you just require volts, right? You require a shot of power every once in a while, not much power. Where I get confused is how do you draw the amperage to actually generate horsepower efficiently? And I had one guy, he actually stopped me in the field, and he had a golf cart that he had. It was all electric, and he said he could get. I think he said he could get about 6 hours out of it. And he said he could go like, but he's got $6,000 worth of batteries in it. And he said, well, it's very simple. You just do this mathematical equation, and it's wattage times whatever.
Right.
So I'm assuming it's there, but yet I don't. When you hold back a drill, or when you lean into a Milwaukee drill, it will almost burn your hands. It's getting so hot.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. So like say things for volts, like an electric fence, where you just need a lot of voltage, no amperage. It's fair enough. Maybe even a light, like a dim light, a yard light, kind of works as long as it's. But any time where you're going to actually need to generate horsepower, I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it. I think that those folks at Tesla, they got quite a bit of stuff figured out, but there's a few of them up here. Like
I pass that red one all the time. I don't know who owns that.
They're here. They're obviously operating. I mean, it's not like we're in the city. Like it's driving somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And anybody that's been in an electric golf court and done 9 holes, 18 holes,
right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
It's instant power.
I don't know if anybody on the internet, one side or the other, has a Tesla or I mean, Tesla's that's the popular one, but there's lots of other electric vehicles out there. If anybody's got one, I would love to hear how it performs. During cold weather, during high acceleration, during long distances, or even like. After 2 or 3 years, what does that battery look like? Is it staying charged? Do you still get the longevity out of it? Because I mean, there's this whole thing on the internet about the electric vehicle graveyard in Paris or just outside of Paris, where it's cheaper to just buy a whole new vehicle, so they just put the electric vehicles in this big scrapyard.
No way.
And but never having been there, and then it's the internet. Like so, yeah, we talked about earlier about how there's so much internet or so much information available on the internet that you can make use of. There's also a lot of stuff that's just bullshit, and it's hard to differentiate sometimes.
Very hard
between what's fact and what's maybe taken out of context. So if anybody firsthand has knowledge on this, I would really be interested to know. I really would.
What I do think has tremendous legs is that what's his name, Chance Barber. The logging truck guy?
Chase Barber.
Chase.
With, Edison Motors.
I think that's a game changer. And so in 2000, I believe it was 2006, my parents brought a hybrid Toyota SUV. Mm-hmm. And so that was half battery, half gas. I tried one day leaving a field to just roll on with the battery. And I only made it about less than a quarter mile down a gravel road before it kicked in, and I was under 20 kilometers an hour the whole time. So, Of course, in 2006, let's say arguably, it was kind of probably one of the first ones, I guess, sure. Right? I mean,
it was a pioneer.
Tremendous power, was a nice car and everything, but my dad was often frustrated. Like he said, if they were in a parking lot and one car wasn't going to start, it would be that one.
Yeah.
And you would think the other way, right? I mean, it should be able to get rolling enough to start.
I'm just gonna scroll here. I don't know if we're missing some stuff on this side.
But I really think the hybrid is where it's at. And I don't. When you were on the rigs, I guess you probably never made it to an like an AC, like a diesel electric rig.
No, but since then I've inspected diesel electric
right
rigs, yeah.
That is tremendous technology. That's instant power, instant braking, super efficient. I mean, you can have mud pumps stroking at 10,000 psi at 2 strokes a minute. It's truly incredible. But that's a hybrid, right? That's diesel electric diesel generators creating power for the generators. And I really think that's where it's at.
I don't know if anybody's even still on TikTok, to be honest. I think we might have got banned. I'm not sure. I don't know if they're digging or what we're growing here.
That's fine.
Fuck them if they can't take a joke.
Right.
I guess. So, what's your thoughts on cigar and whiskey so far? Have you changed your mind?
The whiskey's not too bad with the water.
Yeah.
I don't mind
You
it.
could choke it down.
I wouldn't. It's not in this book. Say the gentleman that wrote that book, he's even got like a paragraph in there saying that, don't go by me, go and try the whiskeys, don't go by price.
Yeah, that's right, he does.
And he's absolutely right, because that Grant's whiskey for about $35, that Scotch, I actually quite enjoy that Scotch. It would be in my probably top 5 favorite Scotches. This was, like I say, about $100, and it's terrible.
Terrible.
Well, it's those Dalmars some of those Dalmores are $100. They're very, very good, right? They're worth it. For $100,
like middle of the road.
This is a $30 whiskey.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like it's what I would call like a middle of the road. Like if you just want to have a glass of whiskey, but you didn't, it doesn't really make a statement about anything.
Nothing.
Right. So, but is that a bad thing?
Well, I think it is, right? Because, yeah, it's something that you would have in your liquor cabinet.
There's no spicy fruit there at all.
You'd have it up on your shelf. It's, most things once you get past, well, certainly past the 3 and then the 10 year and even the 12 years, and you get beyond, you expect that there's going to be something unique about this, right? You're moving to the 15s, the 20s, the 25s. I mean, past that, you're spending 6 figures on a bottle. So.
Sure.
But this is not. I guess that's why it's in a boring box. It doesn't. It's a boring whiskey.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame.
You had one up there that had no age. Which one was that?
Had no age.
No
statement?
age statement. That was quite an.
Oh my goodness!
There's a leg of Yulin that's an 8-year. Which one was it?
What on earth was it?
We have quite a few Scotches, if you haven't noticed already.
Yeah, I don't.
Was it that Glenmorangie over there?
No, it's got an age statement, but maybe the Islay Journey. I can't remember.
But we have one that has no age statement. It's not in that bottle, is it? In that decanter?
No, the decanter was. Remember, we had the one that
the cork fell apart.
The cork fell apart, and so we poured it in. We filtered it and poured it into the decanter. So.
But yeah, anyways, that would be my opinion of the. It does not deserve a spot on an aged 15-year shelf. I will say that.
Well, yeah, we've had 10 years and 12 years that were probably had a louder voice than this.
But
right, and even for having a 52% or 50% ABV,
50.
like it's got a lot of it's got some bite to it, but yeah, no. When you add a drop of water, really all you're doing is you're taming that bite down. Like typically, when you add a drop of water, what you're looking to do is unlock some of the more subtle flavors that you probably wouldn't get through the high ABV. I'm not getting that. It's making it tolerable, right? So, So all in all, probably not a win. Right?
We'll have to have a shelf. I don't know if have you ever gone? You got the Dalmores lined up, but that's about it.
That's the only one that we really have. Glenmorangie, we've got a couple of.
We got Balvenies.
We've got a couple Balvenies. Dalmores, we've got the most of. Other than that, it's all kind of individual.
Because we were gonna
individual distilleries.
One point we were gonna go by region, and then we were gonna go by age.
I think we probably need to build some more shelves.
Well, we do have to retire the rum over here.
The rum up here is gonna have to. It's gonna have to wrap around. We have to do a wrap around. Maybe get rid of the jars of moonshine. And put the rum down there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. We don't have a problem or anything like that. It's not like that, but we definitely have a what did we say there the last live stream? We're kind of like a collector, but we're also kind of like a sampler. We're somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between, yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to look at them, but we don't ever want to finish a bottle.
We haven't yet.
Yeah.
And we've been into a couple of them twice. Haven't been into any of them 3 times, I don't think.
You write a song about that? Once, twice, 3 times a lady?
You got a couple more points? Or are we back on the TikTok? You said we got hunted.
So what do we got there? So we got learn how to preserve your food, get rid of your lawn, grow a garden, make your own compost. Do you make your own compost?
We don't, I guess. We do. We have 2 piles.
A shit pile?
We have 2 piles. There's one up in the animals, and then there's one. Well, there was one kind of garden greenhouse located, but now that the house is right there, that's most likely going to move. But yeah, we do.
So I mean, where this is going is for again some food waste just happens despite your best efforts. Some food goes in a Tupperware, sits in the back of the fridge. You buy a tub of sour cream, whatever it might be, that just isn't gonna make it, and it's not gonna have one more pass through the kitchen. So it has to be discarded. Why not compost it? So if it's still edible, but not edible by me, it goes in the chicken house, and the chickens eat it, and then they turn it into manure, and then that's just nitrogen rich, and it can be added to wood chips and makes fantastic compost. If it's not good for anybody to eat, then yeah, it goes directly into the compost pile and gets stirred up, and it's basically free food for the soil. Like, believe it or not, like, food doesn't just come out of soil. Like, you can't just have dirt and seeds and water and air. You actually have to feed that soil. And so if you're going to go buy Miracle Grow or fertilizer or anything, like, you have to understand the microbiology that exists within the soil is reliant on bacteria. So if you just take the palm of your hand, there's more bacterial DNA in the palm of your hand than there's human DNA in your entire body. If you take a handful of dirt and you could times that by 1 billion, right? There's more bacterial DNA and organisms within a handful of good, healthy compost than there is in your entire body. So you're probably not going to be able to just go to Canadian Tire or go to the garden center or whatever and just chemically treat your garden and be successful. You may have some success, but if you really want to be healthy and more self-sustaining, good home-built compost is a fantastic way to do it. The other one I had here too was, and we haven't talked about this on either of our channels really, because I certainly am not, and I don't think you are. You maybe had some bad experiences with this, but hunting or fishing, like. If people come to hunt on your land, that's one thing. But I mean, I'll give them credit. Like, good for them, right? Like, not going to the grocery store and lining the packing company's pockets with, there is literally quite a bit of free food just cruising around the fields.
Yeah.
So, but there's a cost to that too, right? Like, you can't just go catch a fish. Like, well, you do need to buy a fishing rod. You can't just go have a deer walk into your freezer.
Well, it's funny you talk about, or you said that bad experiences. I was talking about this the other day to a lady. She come for some sunflower seeds. She lives further west than I do. So you go further west than us and you get into some really pristine hunting.
Yep.
Like everything. Really, really nice. So I'm bothered quite a bit in the fall. A mile further west, they're bothered a little bit more. Another mile, until it's almost it's unbelievable how irritated these folks are. So I was talking to her about it. Our problem is not with the hunters. And I got some pretty intense flack for bagging bear bait the other day. This guy jumped into my comments and he said, "You make me sick. You made a video about hating hunters, anything to make a buck. carried on. You know, this. I'd love to meet this guy and actually have a conversation with him, because
Right.
the individual that asked me to make bear bait searched me out,
Came
right?
to you. Yeah.
So, and we have a fairly decent relationship as people. I have no problem that he hunts bears. I don't give a shit at all. I
That's
could
right.
not care less,
Yeah.
right?
How you feed your family is
That's
up to you.
that's not the issue, right? It's not anything to make a buck. This gentleman has his pick of anywhere to get this from. He wanted to come and and get exactly what he wanted. So that doesn't bother me. Hunting doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the new age hunter who's got $6,000 worth of camo, a $5,000 rifle, a $65,000 jacked up truck. He drives around drinking beers, throwing beer cans out the window, driving through your field, driving through the ditch, parking wherever, driving wherever, leaving gates open, not asking permission, shooting at shit, not going to get it.
Right. Gut shooting fucking deer.
Taking it to the butcher, yelling at the butcher because, like you say, he's shot it in the spine, shot it in the gut, ruined 3/4 of the meat. Anyways, complaining the butcher charges too much, then leaving it at the butcher until the butcher has to throw it away, not paying the butcher, and heading back to the city or wherever they're from. That is the problem I have. A buddy that I used to hunt with when I did hunt, I don't hunt anymore because there's no one in the world going to convince me that some fucking 6-year-old moose that's been eating fucking spruce twigs is any better than that beef that I can raise myself. It's just not fucking gonna happen. I don't enjoy the hunt. I'm not sitting in a bush at 4 in the fucking morning. I'm not doing it. So those people I have a problem with. When I hunted, I wore a blue jacket, work jacket with the yellow stripes. It's a Nomex jacket.
Yeah.
I wore jeans, heli hands underneath, leather boots.
Probably did all right.
Shot whatever. Guys, I used my dad's old Woodstock 308.
Yeah.
I didn't go buy a new rifle to hunt. And when we shot it, it was loaded up, brought back to my place into a corner where we can dress out the animal, where the guts can stay. The gut pile wasn't even left out in the field, even if I shot it in my own field. It was quickly loaded up, brought home, gutted, hung in the shop, processed by me.
Right.
That's an efficient way to harvest an animal without a lot of cost.
I think those are all very, very valuable points, right? Like if you live in town and you're not a landowner or a landowner of any significance, that you have just a livestock walk or wild animals walking through your yard, go to some crown land, harvest some wild meat. But there is again another skill set that is very, very valuable to have, or if you don't have to learn and develop, is butchering, right? Whether that's wild meat or whether that's livestock, like butcher your own pigs, butcher your own chickens, butcher your own turkeys, butcher your whatever it is, right? Like, because we all know if you send a pig to the butcher, that's half the cost of your animal right there, right? You got the feed cost, and the butcher cost, and they're pretty well lined up.
I was going to say it costs more.
You got $1,000 pig.
It costs more to get it butchered than the pig costs.
Yeah.
Shockingly expensive.
Yeah. So the other one was interesting. So and I've had a peripheral interest in this, but I also watched what was that movie from the 90s with Macaulay Culkin? My Girl. You ever watch that back in the day?
We get stung by the bees?
You get stung by the bees. Yeah. So there's keeping bees was the thing. Like, you would talk about all this, like grow gardens and have all these, food forests and grow fruit trees. And well, I mean, you still need to have bees, right? But so I've got young kids, and so I just have this, again, a peripheral illogical fear that, maybe we shouldn't keep bees in the yard, maybe necessarily, but
sure,
they're a good source of honey. They're a good pollinator. We can't argue that we don't need them. We do need them, right? So keeping bees would be a good source. Maybe it's also a source of revenue off your farm, your homestead, your hobby farm, whatever it is. But the last point I have, and we talked about this earlier, really is to get out of debt. Like there's nothing will kill your passion for self-sustenance more than a credit card bill or a vehicle payment or a mortgage payment or whatever. Like if you're in debt or you're having to get into debt to fuel your dream, and it's not, it in itself is not self-sustaining. If you don't treat it like a business, pretty quickly it's going to swallow you. And I wouldn't recommend anybody do that. If you have enough disposable income that you're not going to go take a trip to Mexico, you're just going to stay home with your chickens because that's what brings you happiness, then sure, that's what you need to do. Like, but if it's actually becoming a burden to you, you shouldn't do it.
No.
You shouldn't do it. You seem to have had more luck with your cigar.
I cut it right.
Although it didn't burn straight.
Didn't burn straight, but it did. It did after.
It's taken some wobbles.
It lined up after.
Mine's gone out probably 6 times.
You cut it twice,
and I cut it twice to improve the draw. So
you didn't do it.
That is the interesting thing about cigars, is that although they are, there's great care taken into the rolling of these cigars. There's no two that are alike.
No, and these all come out of the same box.
And two that are right out of the same box are probably rolled, maybe even by the same individual. But two different smokes, right? So
these are quite a nice cigar. So you're gonna have to.
They're good. They're mild.
You're gonna have to infuse one of these one day. It'll be a job for next winter, I guess.
If we ever get to it, yeah. It's funny. So I got the Craigalaki up there for, you can just barely see it in the corner above your head there, somewhere up there. I went to a place called
there.
Well, actually, to tell a tale, it was my wife's birthday the other day. And when we went on our first date, I took her to Tokyo Ichiban in Grand Prairie, go for sushi. So I thought, well, this would be nice for her birthday. I'll go get sushi and bring it home. And, what is that beside? It's beside Save on Foods. Well, I'll just run to Save on Foods and I'll get her some cheesecake. Cheesecake is her favorite dessert. So for the win, right, going to go get cheesecake. And while I'm there, there's a liquor store called Liquor on the Rocks. So I was like, I'm going to walk across the street and see what they have for scotch. And that's one that I picked out that I hadn't seen anywhere else. Although it's not an uncommon brand, I just hadn't seen it anywhere else. So I was like, yeah, sure. Why we haven't tried that? Why not, right? But I also saw some brandy, and that was a reminder that at some point at a later date, I need to buy some brandy to infuse some cigars. So, what did we miss there? Chad said most people are not financially prepared to start farming for sure, or that's cut off there. Sorry, something about the budget leads to a lot of failure. Well, I will say, before we moved back out here, I'd had an acreage before, grew up on a farm, lived in town for a while, but maybe hadn't financially been fully responsible for all of those costs, right? Like living on an acreage is one thing. And renting out a little bit of pasture is one thing, but like when you really got to get into it and start making some real big fucking payments, it can get scary. So we bought our house in town for $260,000, and that was at that point in time the most expensive piece of property I'd owned. And when we sold that, and we bought this. Just the land was $295,000. And we wouldn't know where to live at that point, right? And that's fucking scary, like really scary. And if you don't come at it like a business and do the right things and make the right decisions, you can sink yourself quickly. Because before you know it, like before you've even got anything, you're into it for $1 million. Right?
Yeah,
and I think that's what scares a lot of young farmers out of the industry is, if they've got to start from ground zero, how do you do that?
Well, there's been an incredible shift. Certainly, I would say in the last 10 years, since about 2015, where I guess it's probably the ability to borrow. So the ability to borrow has been there for like basically since the 80s. My dad talks about it lots. And he said, like previous to sometime in the 70s and the 80s, borrowing wasn't really a thing. You paid for stuff.
Yeah.
Then somewhere along the line it changed, but it was such a gradual change. Things were still affordable that people still there was a stigma attached to debt. So they waited and they paid for things. From about 2015 on, and I say 2015 because I had my eyes open the other day. So we did a whole live stream on time management.
We did,
and a lot of
that was one of our best ones.
A lot of what a lot of our evenings, our after parties, they give me a lot of thought. Right after the lives or whatever when we were doing our chat, and I think about them quite a bit. So time management has been one I've been thinking about quite a bit lately. Things are changing fairly rapidly in what I do for work.
Yeah.
That are taking all of my time now. So one thing I realize is as far as machinery maintenance, and I consider myself quite a good mechanic. There's very few things that I can't figure out eventually, but that's the key word is eventually. And I don't have the time anymore to do this. This stuff has to work. It has to be fixed properly because I don't have the time to do the pre-maintenance and I don't have the time even to do the in-season maintenance.
Sure.
So I'm taking my combine into town. It's a 2003. The newest one we own, we have two, is a 98 of 2003. I phoned John Deere on the way into town, said, okay, I haven't been here in quite a few years because I normally green light them myself. That's what it's called when you take it to John Deere. Where do I park? She said, oh, park on the west side. That's where all the customer combines are. So I'm in a 2003 and I drive in there. I'm looking, I said, what? She must have been mistaken. This is all the fucking new ones.
Right.
So I actually got out and I was walking around and I climbed up on one. I looked at the sticker on the window and it was there for an inspection. There was not a combine in that fucking lineup that was older than about 2015.
Really?
And we're talking at 2015, you're talking probably 400,000 when it was new.
Yeah.
It's probably still worth around 400,000. Right up to new ones that are worth $1.2 million. And there was about 5 fucking rows, about 20 deep.
So I've often wondered about this as a guy that's like, first gen. I would call myself first generation because although my dad farmed and my grandpa farmed, like I didn't inherit anything, right? Like
I say if you don't have the home quarter, you are a new start.
Right. So how do you take a $300,000 or $400,000 machine and a $400,000 piece of land and make that equitable?
Well, that's see, and my dad's a good guy for this because lots of people when they come and they start talking and they say, well, how can anybody make it? The baler's $90,000, and the first thing he says is, you don't need a $90,000 fucking baler.
Yeah.
Go on Kijiji, go to an auction sale. You can buy a $4,500 fucking baler.
Agreed. Yeah.
You do not need a $1.2 million combine. We don't have one. We have 2 combines that on the best day at the auction would probably fetch around 110 for both of them.
Right.
We take off 2,500 acres every year with those 2 machines.
Is there any increased maintenance, increased costs, repairs?
Well, we went 3 years without a significant breakdown. So alternators, batteries, fucking a few belts,
sure,
some consumables, if you will. Now, for the 4th year, if you go 4 years ago, we blew the engine in the one. Cool. But there was brand new X9s, the $1.2 million combines that went out and blew the engines in the first year. So things happen.
Sure.
And I don't ever get into buy new so you don't have problems. There's a lot of problems with new stuff, just like there's a lot of problems with old stuff. Where you get into problems is if you run a maintenance deficient program.
Right.
If you keep this shit in somewhat of an order, and that's why, even though we can do a lot of the fixing ourselves, still about every 5 years, we do like to take them into John Deere because those individuals you expect are trained. That's what they are. They're experts, right? They're heavy-duty mechanics. They're heavy-duty ag technicians. They're experts in the field.
I see a lot of guys, they'll buy that $4,500 baler and then run it right into the fucking ground. Like that's what happens. They don't have the money, but they also don't have the skill set to fix it. But maybe they also don't have the wherewithal to realize that it's not going to run forever. Right?
Sure.
Right. That happens lots.
Well, you need that's what another thing my dad says a lot. You need what you need to get the job done. Everything else is a luxury. So when we finally set out and we upgraded from two 1980 something 81, 82 John Deere swathers, 20-foot headers to one 35-foot 2016 swather.
Yeah.
We made a jump from something that cost, I think they were both around $12,000, so 24 grand, to something that cost 185,000.
Big step.
That was the jump. There was nothing in between. 1982 to 2018.
Right.
We had used like all that time, and that was a game changer. So when we actually sat down and penciled this out, how this was going to work, we were eliminating one operator.
Yeah.
We were doing basically more than two with one, and then there was allowing us the ability to swath faster at the right time.
Yeah.
And then even lay a proper windrow because we had a bigger table. There was a whole bunch of thinking went into before we got it. Did we need to do that? Well, probably not. But I would argue that it was the right decision and it probably made money.
Oh, probably, yeah.
That was one of the biggest things that we had done, where we just made a big shift to some better technology. The other one was our drill, which we bought secondhand. It was a farmer retiring.
Yeah.
So we went from just a conventional style air drill to a precision drill. So there was a reason to change there, right? You see a lot of folks change just for the sake of change, or they buy just to not pay taxes or something, right? That's one thing that I never understood. Yeah. Is buying to not pay taxes.
Yeah. Chad says bailed for 20 years with $3,500 balers. We used to bail with our buy spare balers for parts, but I will say I love the new baler, but we scaled up into it. Can't have everything new off the get-go. Yeah, I think of my father-in-law with this. Like last year in the fiasco that was haying season, and him saying like, "Oh, go hook onto this baler and just go," and then that fucking baler doesn't work. And he actually owns 4 balers, right? And not one of them is a good baler. They're all fucked, right? So it's just a matter of how fucked you want to be that day, I guess, right? And to me, that's just a sin. Like that's what drives a guy to just walk in and just go buy a new baler because you're like, to hell with this stuff, right?
Well, and Chad's absolutely right when he said, you're gonna move into things, right? That's one of the reasons why multi-generational farms look so different is, once you're into your 3rd and your 4th generation, there's a lot of things that have already been done.
Yeah.
So now upgrading machinery is basically somewhere near the top of your list, and that's why it looks the way that it does. Yeah. It's certainly no credit to an accomplishment of any individual. It's, I guess, a credit to the fact that you kept this thing going for 3 generations.
Sure.
But on a personal level, you get no credit.
No.
Yeah. Right. It's the next step in business evolution, and a lot of people, right, as the grass is greener on the other side idea, that you look at that and you move out and without ever realizing like where you stand, right? And that's one thing that I get irritated with a lot of multi-generation farmers is they're talking like everyone's in their shoes.
Yeah,
that's such an egotistical, narrow-minded way of looking at anything.
But if you take a round baler and you're talking about upgrading equipment, and so you're getting rid of, or you're selling a $3,500 baler, but you're upgrading into an $85,000 baler. Like, you might as well just be buying an $85,000 baler. Like, the $3,500 is barely a fucking drop in the cost of that new piece of equipment.
Oh, sure. Well, what you see with a lot of people is they don't even get rid of it.
Yeah.
Right. They especially if something they've had for a long time, they keep it as a spare.
It's a hot spare.
Right. Especially if it's been maintained at all. But you do encounter that a lot, right? That's back to our swathers. So our swathers left. The one left with the new knife, new engine, right? We had the engine overhauled. It was ready to go because we had serviced it, fixed it with the intent of using it.
You might as well keep it, right?
And then we went through the whole thing of, well, we're not going to use it and we're not going to need it. So we did throw them up and we got rid of them. Right? You buy that swath that we had actually bought brand new. That was one of the first things we ever bought brand new.
Yeah.
We put the first dent in it. But if I guess we could have kept one of those, but we didn't need them. But if something, so with our combines, right, we were thinking it's probably time to upgrade to something bigger. The workforce is changing a little bit, getting a little older and a little too young to help. So somewhere in the middle is some workers that can work, and there's not very many of us. So we get one bigger one. But we most likely, because as I said, our two combines together on the best day at auction would probably bring around $110,000 together.
Yeah.
So if we were to get one from in that $200,000 to $300,000 range, to trade one off for $50,000 and then run the risk of waiting on parts. If this new used one that we buy breaks down, you may as well just keep it.
Right.
Because we've taken 3 crops off with them with no breakdowns. We service them regularly. The one's getting gone through by John Deere right now. It's worth more to keep it than to get the $40,000 out of it.
Absolutely. Chance is $30,000 to buy all of his grain handling equipment, though.
You got some good eyes on you.
I just went to. I just got the new eyes.
Oh, okay.
I went after about 5 years. Went and got my eyes checked. Got a new prescription. Now I can see again.
Crazy. I thought I had really, really good eyes, but I'm having trouble with that. Probably because you got the legs off the chair.
Fella I worked with actually was like, "Oh, like you wear contact lenses?" I was like, "I'm blind as fuck. Like I'm really blind." So yeah, I noticed one day I just couldn't see stuff I should be able to see with my contacts in or my glasses even. It was bad, and so I finally stopped procrastinating and I got my eyes checked, and yeah, makes a big difference. So I find the final third of this cigar is much smokier, much oilier, burns way better. Everything I said previously about this thing going out, it's actually, I'm finally getting a good smoke out of this thing now.
And I'm almost done.
And that's the thing. Like I'm down to the last inch and a half.
Just to the nub here. Yeah, this I think this might be the first cigar that I've ever had that didn't go out once. Burned uneven off the start, evened up near the somewhere near the middle, and then cleared up the old sinuses too, which is different.
It doesn't sound like it though. You sound
very, like, am I getting worse?
You sound like you definitely sound like you shovel grain all day.
Oh, it was dusty. Holy shit, was it dusty? Yeah. It was gross.
It's probably dusty in here too, because I tried to sweep the floor about 10 minutes before you got here.
Oh, that's perfect.
And then I was like, "Oh fuck, that's dusty. I probably should stop."
No, I thought I was getting better, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm going the other way. I don't know.
Well, this would be a good time to say, like, if anybody's got another subject that they want to chat about in a live stream upcoming.
Even the folks, you think we got banned from TikTok already? Or
I think it
hasn't popped off for a while.
Yeah, nothing's happened there. Nobody's watching it. I think something just happened there. Sean sends a TikTok universe to somebody. I don't even know what a TikTok universe is. Yeah, I don't know.
There's nothing up in the top corner there. It says no viewers.
0 viewers right now. So I honestly think we got banned because
it's possible.
The whiskey's too good, the cigars are too good, the banter was too good. But
that's fine.
Whatever.
We'll
figure that out
consistently.
They drilled a hole in the side of the shelf just to make that work.
You did a good job though.
It's custom.
Well, there's 7 folks on YouTube right now, which is
carpenter.
Kind of higher than normal.
Yeah. But yeah, so what do you think? Like, we'll probably maybe get one more live before seeding?
We could probably get one more.
Maybe 2, you think?
Well, we'd have to.
When are you going to hit the field? Because it's not like it's wet out there right now.
Well,
I mean, it's moist, but it's not wet.
I don't drive around wet spots in April. Drive around them in May, but I won't drive around them in April. So
for the layman, what does that even mean?
Well, I'm not going to like your sloughs, right? I'm not gonna get too excited around the 29th of April and start driving around wet holes.
Right. Maybe
Like
just
I'll wait a week,
Yeah.
and then I'll drive through it, right?
Right.
And in fact, I was talking to a few different folks throughout the season, because that's one thing that I've done quite a bit is, and I really think it's because I'm busy, and it's funny because I say this a lot. The people that talk about being busy are generally the least busy fucking people.
Yeah.
But I'm quite busy. Like I don't even go out anymore, and I don't actually want to talk to a lot of people because I find so many people now are very disingenuous. They lie a lot. They for no fucking reason either. Like just I guess just for the sake of maybe not knowing how to converse fucking properly.
Right. They just
So
need a story to tell.
they just start babbling, right? And that irritates me. And I'm finding my tolerance level for that is fucking rapidly declining. I don't even. If there's no substance to what you're saying, I don't want to fucking talk to you.
That's fair.
Because I'm moving on to the next thing, right? So there was some so why I bring that up, I haven't talked to anybody since harvest, and then some folks that I were talking to, they were finally admitting, they said, you know what, I wish I would have waited a week, because there were so many people this spring that were fucking done seeding, fucking near before we started,
Yeah.
and I was confused by that, right? And
Jump the gun.
yeah, Corey and I were talking about it too, and like we really enjoyed this seeding season.
Yeah.
We shut down for supper. We didn't get up at 4 in the fucking morning. We seeded during the daytime when something broke down.
Yeah, the conditions
It didn't
really
matter.
Good,
got cleaned up, had lunch, went to town, got parts, came back, fixed it. If it was too late, we made 1 or 2 rounds to make sure the parts worked. Shut her down for the night. Started up in the morning, right? Probably took 3.5 weeks to seed, but it was good conditions the whole time.
Yeah, you weren't getting chased out of the field by rain or snow or nothing.
And there was quite a few folks that said, we wish we wouldn't have. We wish we would have waited a week, or we wouldn't have just went 24 hours a day.
I'm calling it.
I had to get rid of mine too. It was getting to be
mushy.
But that was almost a perfect what? We're at 156, so let's say an hour and a half smoke time.
Cigar, yeah.
Well, we usually don't start.
We don't start right away. That you're right. You're right. We have a bit of back and forth before we get going. Yeah.
About half an hour into it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. I don't know what Monte Cristo. I still got the cigar book at home. I don't know what Monte Cristos go for smoke time.
Yeah, I don't really know.
But
care for top up?
I'll just have one finger.
One finger.
A 1 finger pour.
Say when, because some people's fingers are bigger than others.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. There we go.
Well, 157. It's tangent time for a few minutes, and then before. All
right, tell me a story.
Well, you had one. You said people wanted to fight. Some people just want to fight.
Some people, yeah. I find that with the internet is that you put yourself out there, and there's always, it seems to be 1 or 2 individuals that say, well, if you put yourself out there, then you should know that you're in front of the firing squad. And so just I don't know. There's some folks that just lack joy in their world, or they're just emotional vampires, or what it is that they in order to bring themselves fulfillment, they have to steal from somebody else somehow. And so I put a video out today showcasing where, so the ephemeral draw that flows through our property, I'm pumping water out of that right now, basically 12 hours a day to try and fill dugouts so that we have enough drinking water for livestock for the summer.
Sure.
Because there's just not enough snow base within the field to fill dugouts. That to me is a climate emergency, sure, right? But the response to that was, well, you should kill your cattle because they're causing global warming or climate change, right? And that's just a ludicrous approach, and it's just so extreme. And the intent was to do nothing other than to piss somebody off, or to ruin their day, or to garner a significantly negative reaction. And just, what's the need?
I don't understand it either.
Honestly, my initial reaction was, this guy can fuck right off. if you understand that, well, why is there so much livestock? Well, it's because humans consume so much beef. So if you want to reduce your carbon footprint, then you can walk behind the barn and reduce your carbon footprint. Like fuck right off, you know.
Well, you're right. It's funny that it's Alfred from the Batman movie, right? Who says, some people just want to watch the world burn, and then his other one was the stealing. Well, anyways, it was some people just they don't they're not doing this for any gain. They're doing it just because.
Just because.
And I really I also have a problem with those people.
Yeah.
Especially those who don't even stick around long enough to hear the other side, right? Yeah. Or they're and that's how they're real shitbags. Is they're just like they just leave it. They put that little seed in there, bam, and then they're just gone. And if you don't have thick enough skin that you let that fester in you and it bothers you. I've seen because in regards to that comment, right, and the other one, do you get some of these? I mean, I've gotten lots of them, especially over the hunter thing. Fuck, that really rattled a bee's nest.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna ask one individual. I was gonna say, did you even watch the fucking video?
Right. Yeah.
Like, did you watch the video? Because it's only about 8 minutes long. But I would think if you're at all a fucking normal, sane human being, you would gain. There'd be some sympathy, and you'd be like, okay, I get it. I get it. You don't like dragging animal carcasses off your fucking field. You don't like to see that waste. You don't like ruts all through your field. You don't like garbage all over the place. Yeah. Not just be like, oh, fuck you. You don't like hunters.
Yeah, right. There's a bigger picture at play there.
Right, and that's not the case at all. This was the first year probably in the history of our farm where 2 people got declined hunting permission. Yeah. One was from fucking south of Edmonton.
Right.
Why are you coming up here?
Why are you here?
Well, you're coming up here because you pissed off everybody from there to here.
There's not a single fucking elk between here and Edmonton.
This is the closest place for you. And then another one was a liar, and I really don't like that.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Like the lying piece. Like, you can reconcile yourself that somebody made a mistake. When somebody knew they made a mistake and lied about it, that's a tough one to get. That's a tough one.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
At all. But yeah, they can.
I had guys asking today, well, if it's so dry, like, where are you pumping the water from? Well, I'm pumping it out of the creek. But the point is that typically I wouldn't have to pump it out of the creek. Like, it would just get there.
Yeah.
Naturally, right? Like, there would be enough snowpack. The dugout would be full. If you overflow, it would be bypassing the dugout and running off into the bush and filling up the lake to the south.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is going to be half full of grass this year because it's not going to be full.
Well, we're going to need some April rains.
The swans are going to be on dry ground if something doesn't happen here. Yeah, there'll be no May flowers if we don't get some April showers. So, but yeah, I was shocked. Anyways, like I drove by there last week, the dugout, and I was like, "Fuck!" After all that snow melted, we're still down probably 6 feet in the dugout where we should be. So, I got a trash pump that I keep out there, and I pump out of the dugout into the water troughs, so that the cows don't come into the dugout and fuck up the side of the dugout, right?
Sure.
Keep the manure and everything. Keep the dugout clean and intact and everything. Makes a lot of sense to me. This is the first year I've ever had to pump into it to fill it. And so much, such a large volume, right? So, I don't know. I'm worried. I'm a little bit concerned, I gotta say.
It'll get there. We got the forecast. It'll fill your dugout up. It's gonna snow a foot before. It'll snow at least a foot before.
It's gonna be full tomorrow afternoon. It's gonna happen.
So fair enough. It'll all be for naught because it'll snow a foot and a half before we're done.
10 gallons worth of gas, and it'll be pumped full.
Well, I've been pumping all day myself. I've been pumping from this side of the fucking culvert to that side of the culvert with the hose shoved in it, trying to get the goddamn thing thawed out.
Get your yard cleaned out.
Jesus Christ. What a wreck. What a wreck.
Yeah.
It's been running over the road, on through the lawn. All the gravel's gone. But I brought one of those sweeper brooms to go on the front of a skid steer.
Oh, okay.
We don't have a skid steer, but with a backhoe.
You can run on the backhoe.
You
Yeah.
run on the backhoe.
You sweep all your gravel back up onto the driveway.
I'm thinking just in what we've plowed off of the road with this, and we only plowed snow twice this year. But with the amount of gravel we plowed off of the road onto the grass, if we just swept all that back on, and the grader winging all the gravel off the range road into the ditch, we've easily paid for that broom.
Yeah.
Which actually confuses me more. That same broom sold for $2,250 at the Weaver sale. It sold for $1,300 at the Ritchie Brothers sale.
Whew.
But the Ritchie Brothers now are up to 15% fees.
Right.
That's fucking nuts.
So then you got to do some pretty incredible math to really
That bothers me. And I think it was one of your YouTube videos where you talk about paying fucking GST on the tax or on the.
I did. I made a whole 12-minute video on it. I thought that was absolutely criminal. Auction fee, buyer premiums. Like I get it. You can sign something to the auction company. You pay them a fee to facilitate the sale. But as the buyer, I think that's fucking ludicrous. And not only is it ludicrous to pay a fee, I think it's ludicrous to pay tax on top of that fee, because there's no goods there, right? There's no services supplied there. Like if I could have bought that privately and not paid any fucking tax.
Well, I was trying to think.
Whatever. I mean, a guy gets his GST back, but it's
irritating. It's irritating. There's like a couple thousand lots, and if the minimum fee is about $150, and what really got me thinking is there's so what there's I believe there's a saying of something about 250 years or something. No empire lasts long or something than 250 years.
Yeah. I don't know if 250 is the right number, but
something. Well, whatever it was.
The Ottoman Empire lasted for 600 years.
It was talking about how the United States is 200 and going on 300 years or something, or Canada's 150, the United States is 250 or 200. What is it?
Maybe 350.
So we're almost there. Anyways, to whatever this guy was saying, but I was thinking about businesses. So now businesses, something like Ritchie Brothers has reached a peak where there's really nothing more they can do to provide any better service. So there's really nothing they can do to generate any extra revenue or income or profits. So they just jack the fucking fees up.
They've just topped out. They're just jacking the fees. Yeah, there's nothing they can do in the marketing side.
Right. They've eliminated everything. They basically went all online. Yeah. So now, aside from
point, it's just greed from here on out, right?
Starting to liquidate their facilities and maybe just buying vacant areas where you can haul your shit to, where there's just a tiny mobile office, right? Because at this point they have large auditoriums. Then that's really all they could do, right? Is liquidate their real estate as it stands, buy vacant lots, fill them up. So they just keep jacking fees, and I hate that. I don't think that makes you a great CEO to just turn around and fucking jack fees.
That's never a good solution. If you look at, you talk about the empires, why the empires failed, is typically right around taxation. Most of them topple because they become too top heavy on taxation, because they couldn't conquer anymore. So they basically just started taxing everybody until there was a revolution, and their system of government was overthrown. That's what happened to the Ottomans. That's what happened to the Romans. That's what happened to the Greeks. So that carries over into business as well, right? So once you're at the end of your optimization cycle, you probably need to look at middle management, right? I don't know if Ritchie Brothers as an organization has a ton of middle management, but I'm guessing they're pretty heavy in the center, and they could probably streamline some stuff instead of just gouging their buyers and driving them back to the dealerships and driving them back to, like as Chad says, going back to Kijiji because
What are you saying there?
Ritchie Brothers and their buyer fees and everything it drives you back to the dealerships and back to the buy and sell markets because
sure,
they just become an outrageous middleman, and all they're doing is facilitating a sale and charging an exorbitant fee to there's other ways to facilitate that sale.
Oh, absolutely. And even I guess so. Recently, there was a combine up in Weavers, and I was going to go to a boat. I thought it was because we need a combine, right? So I thought,
Sure.
well, 150 should be okay. Of course, it sold for 191,000.
Okay, yeah.
So then there was a combine in Youngstown, Alberta. Effectively the same combine, similar hours, same year, same model, and it was 74,000 for the longest time. And I was thinking, like, what? I wonder what the fuck the problem is here. Of course, I'm not driving to look at it because what am I even going to look at? I'm not an ag mechanic, right? I mean, there's very little I can benefit from making this drive. So then I start reading through it, and it's got some documentation with it. It's encountered some substantial rock damage internally.
Oof.
And so anyways, I think it sold for around 150,000 anyways, which would have been right on the mark. But if you go to a dealer and you buy that combine, which the combine we bought had some significant issues that even the dealer wasn't aware of. But we bought it from the dealer. They spent 7 days fixing it.
Yeah.
They charged us nothing. No
Right.
parts, no labor, no nothing. They felt bad about it too.
Sure.
Then they brought us out a demo to use for 7 days.
Yeah. That's pretty incredible.
Ritchie Brothers would give you nothing.
They give you nothing.
So if it cost me $50,000 more to buy it directly, I'm going to finance the fucking thing anyways. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What's the point of buying these large purchases? So things like panels.
Yeah.
I texted a guy, said, "Don't bid on these fucking things because probably
that guy might have been me.
Probably you could use these, right? But I'm going to bid on them, so don't fucking bid on them. If I don't need them all, and you need a couple,
did you?
I did, yeah. I bought it. I bought it. Well, that was another crazy thing. We got them for $2,000. There's 23 of those panels.
Nice.
Then the next set went for $2,700. Then I was looking at UFA; they're $300 a piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, I would have bought the other set too, and I would have had 46 of them.
Yeah.
But this, as it stands, we only have 23. So, anyways, I didn't know if you were bidding on them or not. But
I was actually otherwise occupied and not able to participate at all.
But if you need a couple, we have 23 now.
Okay.
So
well, if you have any to get rid of,
think about it.
I'd be a huckleberry.
It would be whatever it was divided by 23.
What size are they?
They're the big ones. I think the ones you got out here, the red ones, but they're green.
616.
Yeah, but the same ones.
Are they gates or panels?
They're gates.
Okay.
I didn't realize that either, but they're gates. We're going to use them as panels, but they're gates.
Interesting.
So
I'm sure I paid $300 for those gates each. Yeah.
No, you got those on sale.
I did get them on sale. You're right.
I remember that.
You're right. Yeah.
I don't know what you paid. I think you paid probably $100 and some bucks.
Better memory than me.
I watch your videos.
Yeah. Well,
But,
somebody's got it.
And they look good too, though.
You and Chad.
Those gates look good. But yeah, now we got green ones. 23
My
of them.
dog fucking hates those gates. You can't go chase cars.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, what should we talk about next time?
You know, I'm drawing a blank. I was glad you threw that poll up because I was trying to. I think I went through, I had some in my notes, a couple that I was going to put up, but I'm drawing a bit of a blank.
I would really like to talk, and I don't know what the public perception is on either side here, but I would really like to entertain that trapped in an industry conversation, because again, just something that trickled out of one of my other videos was that there are so many people that are trapped in the oil and gas industry and have no way out financially.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, wouldn't that be an interesting conversation? You know, I think that person said, yeah, they would. I had used perhaps an accusation, right? I'd used the oil and gas industry as a means to an end, but there were so many people that were still trapped within an industry. And it's like, did you even fucking watch my video where I said that I'm still like fully involved, fully immersed in that industry? So I think maybe they missed the salient point there, but trapped in the industry. I wonder if the people that work in the industry would say that, or if they feel that way. I don't know. I don't know if they would.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Like, I don't think at all while I was working on the rigs that I felt trapped. I don't think while I was operating wells or facilities, the plant, that I felt that I was trapped. I still don't feel that I'm trapped. So it's maybe a larger conversation for another day.
Yeah, I never did either. I never felt trapped. I know. I had a plan. I did have a plan. And the plan didn't involve 50 years on a drilling rig.
Yeah.
But I probably exited a little quicker than I should have. But different opportunities arose.
Yeah, well,
So we took those.
Jump on it while you can. There's never a right time. If you're waiting for the right moment, you're going to realize very quickly that that's never going to arrive.
Sure, and there would be pros and cons to both. I mean, financially it wasn't smart, but it led to other things.
Sure.
So
yeah, you get there in the end.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes. That could be one for sure. I like the. I'm more. I think I might be more of a sadist because I like more of the like the intense conversations. That's we had done a poll and
Like
someone
the
said,
kick a hornet's nest.
yeah, someone said keep it a little more upbeat. I mean it's too depressing. I was thinking, I don't mind those.
Yeah, well maybe we should talk about how cows are ruining the climate.
Yeah, just bother Chad for a whole evening, fucking up the whole universe.
He's good for it.
He's good for it, yeah.
He's good for it.
So,
well, should we let a couple folks go to bed and we'll have a dessert, cigar, and solve the remainder of the world's problems?
We should. I've been watching this up in the corner, and it's been over 5 basically consistently.
We need to get it over 5,000.
We need to get it over 5,000. I don't know why. We just cannot. I seen a gentleman comment the other day on somebody's channel. It was Jeremy's channel, actually. Said Canadian channels grow faster, and I thought, like, what the fuck channels are you watching, man? Because we've been at it for like 3 years and gaining no traction.
Yeah,
and I can admit that the content isn't there as far as these guys with 50, 60, 70 and up 1,000 subscribers. However, those fucking people have teams.
They have a whole staff.
Right? They have like fucking actual teams of people that edit their videos.
That's right.
So
I don't know what you do.
The content isn't there. That's right. That's 100% right.
Me and this iPhone. That's my YouTube channel right there.
Or they have like extreme situations, which I can agree they're fucking cool and they're interesting, right? They have just totally different situations. I mean, the one guy in Canada, a huge channel, Mike. His farm is like a fucking dealership.
Right. And that's cool.
That is fucking awesome.
Really cool.
You learn more shit about the ins and outs because he uses the. Excuse me. He uses the machines.
Yeah.
All of them, of all makes, all brands. Gets to the meat and the potatoes about the fucking things, what's good and bad about them. Arguably, probably the best channel in Canada to watch before you buy a piece of equipment.
Probably, yeah.
If you're on the grain farming side.
Yeah.
There you go. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Also, multi-generational farming, 80,000 fucking acres.
Yeah.
So just an extreme situation, right?
It's not apples to apples.
No, fuck. Not even at all, right?
But I mean, that's one reason why I'm super excited that the weather is starting to come around, right? Like today, Today, I was probably the happiest I've been in months. Because we went outside, it was warm. I didn't wear a coat. I wore a vest, didn't have to wear a coat, ball cap, no toque. Fuck, I took my gloves off for half the day. It was great. Had the best fucking day ever. And I was like, yeah, you know what? A guy can actually start making some videos about some shit. I'm not like, oh, here I am today, feed another hay bale,
Right.
pour another gallon of molasses, feeding some more grain. And that's my fucking day. Oh, guess what? It's dark again. It's hard. As a content creator, it is hard in Northern Alberta to do anything of, to impart any kind of wisdom
Of any substance.
of any
I hear you.
substance during 6 months of the year.
I fire mine up too, and all of a sudden I spent all day making grain.
Yeah.
Bags. There's the whole fucking day.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. And I just delete all the shit and go in the house.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I've even had some guys, like, there's a few folks that I work with that watch what I put out, and they're like, "Oh, you haven't put out a video in a while." Like, yeah, it was fucking windy outside for 3 days, so I physically couldn't film anything, because you know what? Maybe some magic happened on the farm. I'm gonna have to talk about it later, because it was a 70-mile-an-hour fucking wind blowing, and it would just sound like, right? Nothing good is coming out of that. So, yeah, the struggle bus is driven by us for sure. So,
the other thing I find is
I'm just happy. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say is incredible is how some of these guys manage to fucking get the work done. That's what I was actually talking to Jeremy about it.
Like that actually execute.
Like, how the fuck do you get anything done if you got that goddamn phone in your hand and you're trying to film it?
Oh,
like I would get nothing done. Like zero.
Yeah. I know my wife says it to me. Like, she's like, go outside and do chores, but don't fuck around. Like, I know what she means. She's like, don't make a YouTube video. Just go take, you can do, like, she said, like, I can do chores in 15 minutes, and you go out there and it's 3 hours, which is an exaggeration. It is an exaggeration, but what she does in 15 minutes is probably not sufficient. Right? You probably need the hour.
And there's an hour for staying in there.
But she doesn't realize is that I'm half fucking crazy anyway, so I'm out there talking to myself anyways.
Sure.
All I'm doing is pushing the record button, and maybe taking a few takes or whatever. But for the most part, I'm probably not taking any longer than I would.
Yeah.
For the most part. But yeah. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited for the weather to turn. I'm excited to get our chicks in the brooder. We've started lambing again. There's some excitement around the place. The sun can start to shine. The wind can fuck off. And I'll be a happy camper. So. Anyways. Yeah. I don't mind that whiskey, actually.
It's just kind of a piss off, because I was
just middle
there.
of the road.
There was I think there was a 12-year, and then there was that 15-year.
Yeah.
That fucker might have been on sale, actually. I don't know, but I really had higher hopes. I should have bought the other one.
It's middle of the
I
road.
should have bought the 12.
There's nothing bad about it.
And then we could have bought this after.
Yeah.
But this was a fucking joke.
We'll have to try that Kragalaki.
Is there one up there that we haven't opened yet besides that?
Did we open the Oban?
Yeah. That's the one I got. We did that back in June.
We did.
That's the one I got for... I think I got that for my birthday.
You got that for your birthday?
So we did it the live after that.
Okay. There may not be an unopened bottle aside from that. Well, the JMB, but the JMB is like... there's a guy I work with, actually. He's like, "Is this any good?" And then they don't drink scotch. And I said, well, again, middle of the road, right? Like, it's nothing fancy. It's in every bar in Canada. Like, if you order a scotch in a bar, that's probably what you're getting. Or maybe Teachers or something else. Like, it's not fancy. It's a $40 bottle of scotch, but it's 30 years old. So, again, it didn't get any better since it hit the bottle. It's not like it's aged fantastically, but it's just interesting to know that bottle is that old, and it's actually gone all over the world. They traveled with that bottle, so I'm not sure the significance of it or why,
And now it's here.
but now it's here.
Interesting.
And so at some point in time, I mean, you have to give it the honor it's due and sample it, right? So
There is a lot of alcohol up here.
yeah, I probably need to put in like a ventilation system or something because there's a lot of flammables here.
Crazy.
Yeah, when you figure if you attach the $75 for every bottle, it's
It wasn't a cheap hobby to start.
not a cheap hobby. But you know what? Some people try to get like. Have you ever heard of this where it's like, okay, when you hit 35, 40 years old, every man just kind of picks a lane and they just stay in it for the rest of their life?
I've never heard that.
Okay, well,
I've heard it now though.
how old are you?
35.
Okay, tick tock, it's clicking. So for some guys, it's they get a smoker and that just becomes their entire personality. It's basically around the midlife crisis, right? Maybe you buy a sports car, maybe you buy a motorbike, maybe you do a thing, and that just becomes who you are for the rest of your life. But for you and I feel like, well, okay, we've got whiskey, we've got
about $10,000 worth of Scotch cigars,
right?
a little bit of TVs and suits,
the audio video equipment. I bought a new watch. Like this is man.
I got a watch for Christmas.
Yeah, like look at this fucking thing right here.
That is a gem. I see you're going green.
Going green.
Isn't
This
that
is
green?
not green. This is black.
Well, the watches you buy are all different fucking colors. That's a heavy duty one too.
Yeah.
Look at that, eh? It's got the whole fucking sweeping time too.
Yeah.
You got a watch guy though. You lucky duck.
I gotta watch it. So this is there's a Rolex Daytona black dial. I call this Justin Trudeau. This is a Justin Trudeau watch because it's got a black face. It costs way too fucking much money.
Jesus Christ. That's a heavy duty watch too.
But yeah, I just got this. Today it actually fell apart.
Oh, that's handy.
So remember you were asking me, okay, can you adjust that watch strap? So this one doesn't have the push pins. It's got screw ins, and I took a link out to make it fit, but I didn't tighten it up enough, and I was helping my kid in the bathroom, of all things to do.
Sure.
And I heard this like thing go ting 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 across the floor, and I'm like, oh, what was that?
That's expensive.
It's probably a bead or a fucking chocolate chip or whatever, some random fucking. Anyways, I didn't think anything of it, and then I was getting the kids ready to come back out, and we're gonna go do chores, and the watch literally just fell off my wrist, and I was like, oh. Can't. That's not cool. And I was like, Charlotte, bring the flashlight. We crawled all over that floor, and I found it in behind the toilet, and got it screwed in, and we're back in business.
Lucky duck.
Yeah. Janet's Trudeau watch. Who's Darcy Rottenstruck? Have you ever considered bringing on invited guests in the different industries that affect the industry? Different industries that affect the ag industry. Well, I think we've had a few interested parties that I don't know how much they want to talk and how much they think this is just really fucking cool.
I was thinking about that before I come over here. I don't think so. I certainly wasn't super outgoing. I don't know how. Well, you for your job you have to be.
I
but,
have to be, but I force it.
Well, but you don't really have the option. See, I fully had the option to be a total introvert, right? And then YouTube really like popped me out of my shell, and I really like the evenings that Stan and I have these lives and everything, they've been really good for me, and my own channel has been really good for me. But I think to bring somebody into this, if they weren't already a spokesman for their industry, I think they'd really struggle here. It would be tough.
You're probably right. There would be. I mean,
they might drink whiskey and smoke a cigar.
We have our fair share of awkward silences during these episodes where it's like, okay, what's next, right?
We do.
Because we have this thing at work where it's called what is it called? It's called insights. So it asks you, 20, 25 questions about your personality and how you view yourself, and then it gives you a for lack of a better term, insight into your personality and how you interact with different people and what your ability is to come off the cuff with a thing, what your comfort level is interacting in group settings, and it's all based upon on a color base, right? And so I'm what you call blue green. So blue is data driven. I need facts, I need details, I need logic. And then green is you need some empathy, some compassion. Yes, you want facts, but you also feel the significance of what that data means, right? And there's also red, which is very like be brief, be bright, be brilliant. Facts don't matter as much. It's more about emotional response to a thing. And then there's a yellow color as well, which is more like la 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 la, sunshines and rainbows, right? And I'm like 49% blue and 48% green, and there's a tinge of red, and there's almost non-existent yellow in me. Like I'm actually not a good time. I'm really not a good time. Like I'm pretty much fully introverted. But for my job, yeah, I have to be cognizant of that, and I have to force it, and I pretend that I'm enjoying myself for the most part, right? But
Sure.
yeah, so YouTube really was actually quite good for me.
Oh yeah, for me
able
too.
to
For me as well.
to be able to public speak and articulate myself in a way that other people could understand. Um, YouTube was actually good for me.
I still struggle quite a bit, mostly in more like I would say more like more of a personal setting, right? So with my own family, my immediate family, my in laws, things like that, I struggle. I find that I don't have, I guess, as much time
Yeah,
for what I would consider nonsense. So I'm very short.
right. Things that are meaningless or whatever, right?
And it's certainly not. There's no intent behind it, and most of the time I feel fucking inadequate after, and I'm like, well, that was unfortunate, right?
Right.
But that my day is filled with so much nonsense, and I would fuck I could do a whole video just on experiences, right? There's over 500 different customers come to the farm from the farthest left to the farthest right, from the happiest to the most miserable.
So you're getting the whole gamut, right?
And
Everybody.
for some reason, I don't understand. I had a guy tell me one time. He said, "Do you know why everyone tells you everything?" And I said, "I have no idea." He says, "Because you can keep your fucking mouth shut."
Right.
And I never ever did forget that. And I've become a sounding board for now like 500 people, which is well, you're a sounding board for thousands of people.
Right. It's emotionally burdensome some days, though, right?
You're mentally. See, I never had any preparation for this, short of those ridiculous skill building courses you took as a driller or a push or whatever on a drilling rig,
Right.
which were, let's say, fucking fairly inadequate for what they were supposed to
Really
be,
not.
what they were going to
Yeah.
accomplish, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, in your job, you have an elevated level of that training. I never got any of that, so I'm attacking senior fucking jobs as an infant. Like I have no training for any of this, and I don't think the mind of an introvert can handle this much information.
Being
and,
a professional psychologist
and process it and be able to come up with a intelligent response to any of it. So fucking unfortunately, lots of it ends up just lashing out.
Yeah.
like a child, right?
Yeah.
Like you're just like, okay,
what the fuck is wrong?
yeah,
with
that
you?
fucking makes no sense, right? Don't talk anymore for a while.
Yeah. I'm gonna call bullshit on that, right?
Which is unfortunate because, like I say, there's never any intent behind it, but you're so emotionally fucking drained by the end of it that you just want people. And actually, my dad, I was talking to him about it this morning, or sorry, this evening before I came here. He's been really good, but he sees it.
Yeah.
Like he can see the evolution of what I'm doing, and I mean, the folks here, wherever you won't understand, especially if you don't watch my YouTube channel. There's actually been quite a bit go on in the last 5 years, and unless you're directly like tied to me and know me from before, this wouldn't make sense. But if you did, you'd be like, yeah, this fucking kid can't handle this,
right?
Or the young man grown, whatever the fuck you want to call me. There's no way mentally he's ready for any of this, and it unfortunately shows a lot generally to people that it shouldn't to, right?
Yeah. Well, I think definitely what I've learned is that most people, when you say like they come and they want to have a conversation, because they really don't want to have a conversation. They want to be heard.
Sure.
And they want to add some sense of legitimacy to whatever their opinion may be that day, right?
And talk at you.
Yeah. They just want to vent, right? So that's with lots of people. They just want to vent, right? So if you can spare 10 minutes for them, if you can bear 10 minutes with them, maybe it's fortuitous for you, right? But
I can't read that either.
He says to red Loctite it, but I'm.
Oh, he's talking about your watch.
I'm not putting Loctite on this. Like
I wouldn't advise putting. Yeah, I wouldn't advise doing that to any of your watches.
Put Loctite. I mean,
Stan has quite a watch collection.
It's not terrible advice. Like it's not terrible advice, but it's also terrible advice. I cannot put Loctite on this. So, yeah, if you saw it up close, you'd understand. But for another time, perhaps. But, yeah.
Crazy.
Anyways, yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting thing to be a naturally introverted person, and yet to find yourself in a position where you're also have a high level of emotional intelligence. So your empathy comes through, your compassion for other people comes through, but notwithstanding your own frustration for how fucking stupid people are. You care, but you wish they'd shut the fuck up, right? Because you still have all your other work, responsibilities, shit to take care of, right? So, Of course, you can never say any of that before 11 o'clock at night. So,
yeah, it's interesting.
I say that we're 10:39 at night. So
this is 10:39.
Now the secret is out. So. Well,
yeah, dessert cigar time, I guess.
Dessert cigar time.
Still got 5 on. Anyways, the 5 of you. I'm going to. We'll mostly throw up a poll. We should. We'll put some. We'll put up 4. We'll try to make them 4 different ones.
4 options. People like options, right?
The other thing you said, we've had some pauses. I found about the last probably 7 or 8 lives that we've done a couple that kind of we didn't put as much into them as we should have. Now that's like I say, because this season has been weird. It's been weird. It's been a weird go, right? We had the most incredible winter I've ever experienced.
I think you're giving me more credit than I deserve. I probably just lack preparedness overall.
Well, where'd you put all those? We had we used to do some pretty intense research into these lives.
The notes are
right. The notes. We jokingly we talked about making turning them into a book. We had pages and pages and pages of actual data of information.
Right here,
and we would do all of that. So one of the coolest ones I remember doing was how local are you shopping, or how was your whatever that one was? Remember that one?
I do remember that one.
That was a really, really good live. We did one on men's mental health that was really, really good. We've done some that we put quite a bit of time before the live going into, so we were never going to be stumped. We were never going to be stalled with something to talk about.
Yeah.
And then, we just hit this. So this is I think this is our 3rd live stream season.
There was
we consider the winter the live stream season.
To do a little bit of stuff a acapella and not, not scripted, right?
We
So we
were
gotta find that
gonna do
balance.
that, but I think we might have picked some topics that didn't fit that, right? Because we've gone off the cuff on some and done
Well,
a really good job
there
too.
was some stuff that were well outside of our, we didn't have good knowledge of it,
Sure.
right? So we had to do some research, right? So, yeah, that's a little bit harder to do.
But we can find some 4 topics that we can do probably a better job on. Then I guess next winter is just going to have to be colder.
Next winter was hopefully more snow.
Colder, snowier.
I give
More-
a fuck if it's colder.
More.
I'm not a fan.
I hate winter.
I
wish
hate it.
we'd never seen snow again. But then we
Yeah.
could structure live stream season around that. Get things done properly.
As a young man, I'm so stubborn and so ignorant. So ignorant. I said, well, I'm leaving the UK because it just never stops raining here. But I could tell you, probably less than I can count on one hand, how many times the air hurt my face, right? And now it's like literally like 6 months of the air hurting my face.
It got pretty cold here for a while.
I'm glad. I'm gonna buy more cows because I want climate change. I want the air to stop hurting my face. So be ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I don't care how many miles of shoreline we got to lose to get pineapples grown up here.
Right. Yeah.
Could not care less.
This is true.
But interesting.
Time are we at?
2:41.
10:44, 2:41. All right. Folks, good evening.
Let everybody go Saturday night.
All right.
Well, thanks, folks, for tuning in.
Thank you. Not sure if anybody's still on YouTube.
I think you got us kicked
I think
off.
we officially got banned off YouTube.
Off TikTok.
Off TikTok. All right. Have a good night.
Oh, we just missed one there. Who was that? I can't read that fucking thing. I don't know how you can see that.